and they're done. You know, it's like 3 things. Then you get a nice cuddling pet. You know, for a small price. You know, the food's expensive, the litter's expensive. Purified water is not cheap. You know, I mean it is, but it's not that cheap. And so there is some investment, but I like what you get in return because it's like, you know, besides those 3 things you have to do every day, and that is some work. It is worth it. Like at night, when I get off stream, I like call my cat into my bed and I'm like, bedtime, and she's like, oh, bedtime, and she's like, oh, I get free time with you where you're not like staring at a stream all day and screaming at people, and I'm like, yep. And then we cuddle in there for like an hour, and she's just like, oh, it feels so good to not have to do anything. She just cuddles to my chest, and we get all warm in my nice electric blanket and stuff, and it's just good. And then, you know, and then all I have to do the next day is like 5 minutes of work of scooping her box and, you know, dumping her water and food when I wake up in the morning and feeding her. And I mean, that's not much work for what I get in return. Like, she'll sit and cuddle with me for like an hour and stuff, and she really purrs, and she loves doing that. And like, you know, she didn't have that her whole life, so she really values it. And like, you know, and that's something you don't really get from exotic pets. They won't really love you back sometimes. I've seen it enough to know. Especially more wild animals like Joe Exotic. Those tigers and stuff, they're happy and they play with you and stuff, but they're just as soon to maul you as they are to be your friend. They're wild. They might be domesticated, but they're still wild. I've seen it before. I've seen an animal turn on a human really badly. I'm stealing, am I? Oops. Where am I? What am I doing? I feel like I've been here before. Let's go back in here. How did I get in this place before? I think it was like up and over and then back and around. There we go.
Lovable and cute.
So she got injured. I guarantee I can tell you what happened. She got injured. One of the animals or something, or she got a back injury or some kind of diagnosis or something. They gave her pills. She couldn't stop taking the pills. She had some kind of breakup with a husband or a boyfriend or something, and then one of her animals died, and she just started doing pills. And when the pills got too expensive and too hard to do and too hard to lie about or whatever, she just started scoring on the street because it was cheaper, I bet.
Really started to take off when I had my hedgehog, Nala.
Hedgehog! See, it's a recurring thing with exotic pets. See, hedgehog, right? Message from Alicia Toka. Madi Station, research assistant opening. Okay, I don't care. Let's go. You have a nose ring. I would like some dinner, but I don't really want to eat again. I had this huge like holiday dinner, and I feel like I just kind of want ice cream, but I don't know. Maybe I should have some chocolate. It is Christmas. I'll have some Christmas chocolate. Chocolate sounds good. I have some chocolate and some dried blueberries. Sounds a little bit more this time of night, I think, than eating a whole meal of like stir fry or whatever. I don't think I want a meal of stir fry. She's hot. She's my type. My God, she's my type. She's almost as beautiful as my ex, but not quite. It's kind of funny. But yes, yeah, and she's my type. Wow.
Told me that they were getting a hedgehog because of me.
He hates everyone. Good luck seeing his face.
After that original video with Nala, it just kept going, and now I'm here. What is on his head? Is that a peacock feather? Oh no, that's on my head. Never mind.
This was your first Halloween.
And a tiger.
As a rabbit. Here's an early animal picture of me with the little chick. Mom always took her to places where there were animals. Here's a little bit older one.
I made it for a school picture. I was always homebound, so I would go for like pictures and tests that I couldn't stay at home to do. From 5th grade on, didn't really attend school. They didn't know what was wrong with me. And at first I had a lot of chronic illness that was undiagnosed, and they figured out I had Ehlers-Danlos syndrome.
Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is a connective tissue disorder, which basically means I can dislocate my body very easily. I can hurt my body. I can get myself hurt. One time I woke up and thought I had a cold, so I went to the doctor and they found out I had shattered my clavicle in my sleep.
It was hard to socialize. You make plans and
I broke my clavicle.
Want to go and then not feel good, or not go at all, and just miss a lot of things.
I guess I got in this weird funk for a while where
Yep, it happens. It's hard to juggle a YouTube career and anything else. Damn near broke me, but I managed to do it. Mainly by not having much responsibility.
I felt like talking about my illnesses on here too much would just get me viewed as like the sick girl or something, and that people really wouldn't want to be friends with me. I'm really, really, really outgoing. I really, really love meeting people, but I'm also overwhelmingly anxious about the whole experience and kind of suck at making friends sometimes.
I mean, I don't know what kind of occupation or job, would lend itself to someone with, chronic fatigue and pain issues, and it's sort of the perfect fit.
I never heard of PetTube when I started doing YouTube videos. I just started talking about my animals and discovered that there's a whole entire niche on YouTube that is just all about exotic animals.
My little girl right here, she's still big enough or small enough to hold her.
Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm joined here with Sasha.
This is Janet, our bull snake. He was my very first snake, and he is just a sweetheart.
I really thought YouTube was gonna be a hobby always. I thought maybe it would bring in an extra $100 or something at the most. A few months into starting, I got a paycheck that was equal to the amount I made at Petco, and I was just like, what is the risk in quitting and just trying YouTube and seeing what happens?
I have quit my day job, and literally my full-time job, what I make all my money off of, is going to be caring for my animal.
I signed with a manager, and when he started helping out with like sponsorships and merch and stuff like that, I started to see like how big of a thing this could actually be.
I hit 100,000 subscribers. My back-to-school
Hells
supplies
yeah.
are available now. There's a really good chance that by the time I upload this, I'll be at 500,000 subscribers, which is crazy. When it comes to making your first purchase, you can use Taylor for 10% off. I hit 1 million subscribers, which I never ever thought I'd have that many.
I have about 1.8 million subscribers on YouTube. The reach my voice got was definitely something I wasn't used to, so it was really weird to suddenly have the attention shift onto me like that. Definitely one particular thing that the people that dislike me talk about is my animal care. Yeah, the people that dislike me are very, very extreme sometimes. There's no reasoning with them. Whenever you talk to them, they always find a worse reason, and if they don't find a reason to continue the argument, they completely flip it on a completely unrelated subject just to keep digging. And there's literally no way for me to prove that I handle my animals when I'm not online, because the only way these people know me is online, so they don't know what I'm doing when I'm off camera. I think that just comes from this crazy expectation that anyone that goes online and gets this amount of attention needs to be doing everything perfectly. Normal things can't happen that would happen to anyone.
It was really crappy for me to do because it showed children that they could just go buy an animal and figure it out. And I don't want that to be my message on here. So again, I really apologize for that situation. What's important is I learned from it, and I'm not gonna do it again.
It's been weird growing up online because then I've had to make all the mistakes that I do make publicly. Instead of it just being a little slip up in my personal life, it's a slip up that 2 million people know about. It's just something I struggle every day learning how to deal with.
This video is going to be talking about addiction. I personally did not understand addiction either up until about 2 months ago.
I think I've always seen in my life that I've had addictive tendencies growing up, and I always would say that kind of like it's a personality trait. Alcohol and drinking, I wasn't really exposed to that much growing up, and I never went to dances in school or parties in high school or anything. My very first party I ever attended was because of YouTube.
When I started my YouTube channel, it took off so fast, and I just wanted to be accepted. It's always been a problem with me is that I wanted to always be accepted.
Someone offered me a tiny bump of cocaine. Everyone was doing it and acting fine, so I was like, okay, whatever, I'll try it. And the next day I was just obsessing about it, and my brain just was like, you need it again. And I was extremely depressed for weeks.
Being completely isolated and wanting to be accepted, craving that codependent relationship, I was pretty much ready to jump on to anyone who looked at me even. Basically, I meet this guy online. I was a huge fan of his music.
He is 10 years older than me and someone who deals with addiction, and he had a lot more access to all of these things. He was able to get me the connections I never could have gotten back in Texas. His issue was opiates, and he started bringing them around, and I just decided, oh well, I'll try what he has. It'll be a different feeling, but I'll try it. And after that, I just never went back to coke. I just started dabbling with opiates, and I just kept telling myself that it's not a problem, it's a prescription drug, it can't be that horrible. It was just me trying to rationalize what was happening.
This is when my channel really took a dive, and I'm finally able to say that it was my relationship that I got into. He was gone all day and I didn't know why, and he came home later that day and told me he was gonna take a bath, and I noticed that he brought ice cream into the bath, and he was just being really weird and not making sense, and I decided I wanted ice cream. I go over to the sink and I noticed he only put the bowl of ice cream in there and not the spoon. Everything just sank in me. I went to try to confront him and the bathroom was locked. He finally gets up and lets me in, and he's like, I don't know what you want. And instead of staying in the bathroom, he walks out and goes and hides in a corner, and I start digging through everything, and I find the spoon in the drawer. And I'm like, why is the spoon in the drawer? He goes, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you mean. It's not, you know, not my spoon. I don't know. He's acting all weird, and I turn it over and it's burnt. And I just start sobbing and screaming. I said, you need to go to rehab. You need to get help. Please, 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 flush this needle with me. And let's end this once and for all. Let's get you help. I'll stay with you. I'll support you. I'll pay for the rehab.
She's a good girl, and he ruined her, I bet. That's kind of what happened to me.
Let's just get you better. But instead he goes, I really think that we should finish what I have left of the heroin together. And then get clean.
Nope.
We'll have the best high that you've ever had. And we'll have it together, and it'll be beautiful, and I'll hold you, and we'll watch a movie.
Nope,
and we'll
he's
be
just
in
trying to
complete
enslave
peace,
you.
And then we'll never do this again. And we will
Always
be clean
ask,
and
never
sober, and
let somebody
all
else
the
tell
drugs
you
in our
what to
past,
do.
I will go to rehab, and I will get help. But let's just have one more good night.
That was my first time using heroin. I started with like the most baby dose ever, and I worked all the way up to this heroin that was cut with fentanyl. It was the most miserable experience of my life, but I just kept trying to think.
Oh. I hate needles. I've never thought heroin killed people. I think it's the needle. See the environment? This environment kills you. All this up your veins, that'll kill you.
I think it's not as bad as it could be. Like, I'm still in a really nice house, I still have my job, I still have this and that. When in reality, I like hadn't made a video in like 6 months. I was, you know, losing all my contacts to everyone, and all I had was this dude that just kept shooting me up.
Yep. Johnny Craig, I gotta remember. Okay, kitty. Doing okay? Poor kitty.
It all happened so fast. I kept thinking I was in control, and then suddenly I wasn't.
I don't know if you guys can hear that, but that's my self-flushing toilet. So that's the video, and I really hope you guys enjoyed it. And again, thank you so much for sticking around.
Wow. She went for the heroin chic thing. I've seen this before. Also, the girls, they think that the drugs are just going to make them beautiful for some reason. But no, it's quite the other way around. Yeah, for like a year. Then for 20 years, you have nothing but wrinkles and terrible issues, and you just wreck your beauty. But somehow, some way, girls get obsessed with this idea that heroin's just going to make them beautiful or keep them skinny or... Nope. Well, I could have boarded, but I didn't. Oops. I don't really care. She's beautiful.
Around and waiting to even watch this. I couldn't imagine staying interested in my channel after it being dead for so long.
people kind of knew what was
everybody.
going on. It got to
Yeah.
a point where even as careful as I could be in like little Instagram stories and stuff, you could see sometimes needles and people were zooming in on things and finding things.
In light of recent news about Nicole Taylor Dean, it's time to talk about addictions.
As far as allegations go, neither my boyfriend or myself are doing drugs.
Like, it is impossible to fully care for that many animals while you're abusing substances, right?
She needs to go to rehab. I feel like some of her pets do need to be rehomed.
So my plan was I was going to take a medicine that stopped all the withdrawal symptoms, and I was going to be fine, but I was super sick. I was sick for like 14 hours. I couldn't answer the phone. I couldn't get out of bed. Passed out a few times on the floor. My mom found me, and I could not lie.
That's
And she brought me to
heroin.
rehab that day. So
She's actually telling the truth. Nice.
I honestly expected
I've seen some people lie.
to lose like 100,000 subscribers. That's like was my estimate in my head. I know when I posted it, I lost 1,000, and that was it. And then I ended up gaining a lot more. And not that is what matters from it, but I was just really amazed that there was that many people so supportive about it. One of the comments that really stood out to me was some girl said that she watched the whole video and it reminded her of her situation with her fiance. She said like that she packed her bags and left him that night. So that was cool.
I get lost.
I was expecting such a bad response, and I was going to be okay with that, and just to see my opinion and say like, hey, I think I've been being abused for 7 years now, and just gave me the strength to leave.
Anybody who shoots you up with a needle is trying to kill you. That's exactly how it is. I've refused to ever do it. No.
I love it. I love connecting with people and entertaining people, but when I have these emotional connections with people, it's just crazy. I don't know what my channel is now. Like, I know it's definitely still going to be my animals and all of that, but I have this whole new part of it.
Hopefully I will get there. I'm still not the best at my hygiene yet. Still in that phase of getting my life back on track.
Deep down, I kind of always thought, you know, they're there for the cute animals and that's it. So it's just kind of weird now to have this whole part that's really just about my own experience and my own life and actually me. Yay! I'm living at home with my parents right now and spend most of my time doing therapy and remembering to shower and eat and stuff, and it's just normal. Either way, hopefully this whole series can help some people that are either struggling or know someone that's struggling or just wants to learn about addiction in general. Because another really big part in sobriety is the idea that if you give back to others, it makes you more capable to stay sober by helping others. So now I just really want to help as much as I can. That's all I want to keep doing.
I don't know where I'm uploading it. If I just upload it on, like YouTube, you could ask in the comment section, like, hey, why does my hedgehog do this? I don't know how to end these. Thanks.
Yeah. Hi, pretty kitty. How are you today? Merry Christmas, kitty. It's ending, and this holiday is over. It was an uneventful Christmas, but I liked it. It was a fun holiday Christmas. I enjoyed it. It was a beautiful day. Had dinner with my stepfather's brother and my mother today. And we had Christmas ham with good mashed potatoes. have a kitty. I have a kitty on my chest. Hello, kitty on my chest. I'm just doing my job. I don't mean to ignore you. I love you so much. I love this kitty on my chest. See, she's worth scooping the box. She just comes and, you know, she's worth the food and the water. She comes and she, like, you know, makes sure mice don't come in my house. And she, like, you know, she makes sure everything is good. And good kitty. Good kitty. Yeah, I love this kitty. I love this kitty. She's such a good kitty. I can't wait till the sun comes out and you're like less stir crazy kitty. You can go out all day, you know? That'll be a nice time. And it'll be a happy time in the kitty's life. She'll be able to go out and roam again as she likes to do. And I'll be there to witness her do it. And I'm going to be very happy to see her come out in the spring. And, you know, and she's going to get out one day and there's going to be beautiful sun out. And it'll be like, you know, probably May, like May 1st, or not May, like, yeah, like April 20th or something. She's gonna go outside and it's gonna be sunny, and she's gonna like she'll just be out there all day, and she'll be just this happier kitty. Like I mean, she's a happy kitty as it is. She's like embarrassingly happy. She's such a happy kitty, but when the sun's out and she can just freely roam all day and go about her cat business and stuff, she, like, her whole life is just perfect, you know? And she's in perfect health, I think, except for being blind. That's her only problem, is she's like functionally blind, but she can still see vague shapes and stuff move. And I like talking about her. I like paying attention to her. I love her quite a lot. She's such a good kitty. I like cats. I like every type of cat. I just want to hug all of them, but I can't hug every cat. Can't hug every cat. So anyways, I am a cat lover and I like to walk. I'm sorry, I'm thinking about cats again. I really love cats. And drugs. Like that girl.
So the question was about what will happen with the Affordable Care Act tax subsidies. So we're done. Those tax subsidies, they expired on they haven't expired yet, but they will expire at the end of the month. And the House is out, the Senate is out. The House actually had enough signatures to go through a vote on Leader Jeffries' what we call discharge petition. So essentially, we've talked about discharge petitions a decent amount here recently, only because they shut down the House when they did not want us to get the 218th signature on the discharge petition for the Epstein files. Well, what they decided to do this time was shut down the House again, and I'm not really sure if it was Epstein that was more concerning to them or if it was just their cruelty around these tax subsidies. We were supposed to get out on Friday of last week. Instead, we were released on Thursday. Friday was the deadline for the Epstein files. And as you saw, that was quite dramatic. But also, Friday potentially was an opportunity for us to actually take a vote and send a piece of legislation over to the Senate that would extend the tax subsidies for 3 years. So this would have been temporary. Mind you, they've already voted on permanent tax cuts for the top 1%ers forever. But they refused to vote on a tax subsidy that would be temporary for everyday folk. And I will say that as it relates to the Senate had already taken a vote and they voted against any type of tax subsidy. So what I do suggest to everyone, because again, I keep trying to tell people this isn't partisan. It is important that you go ahead and call and find out exactly what your premiums are going to be. So call whoever your health insurance provider is, find out from them what that health premium is going to be. Please report back to us. If you're seeing these increases, I would like to make sure that we put this into the record about how much your insurance premiums are changing as a result of them not having the tax subsidies.
Kitty. Love this kitty.
Thank you, Congresswoman.
You like getting touched, kitty? You like getting touched in your kitty butt?
About that of government shutdown. Of course, we're approaching the deadline.
Government shutdown.
In January. What are your thoughts?
Another government shutdown?
We just have some questions around that and your thoughts there.
Yeah. I personally believe that we're headed towards a shutdown. The deadline is, of course, going to be at the end of January. I don't know how we're going to avoid it. So again, I don't look at this as being partisan. I look at this as there is just one group of people that could care less about doing what they're supposed to do, which is to govern. So we went back into session. Oh, this is working. We went back into session on, I don't even remember the date, but we went back, finally opened the government back up, and the whole deal for a shutdown, just so that we're all level setting, is that we have 12 appropriations bills. Those bills are supposed to be passed by September 30th. Once you pass your appropriations bills, there's no question about whether or not you're going to be open. So here it was, we were shut down and the House was not in session at all, which meant that we could not even start to gradually reopen the government. Instead, we stayed out, nothing could happen, and they finally voted to reopen the government with a temporary continuing resolution. That resolution will run out on January 31st. Since we've reopened the government, we have not passed one of those 12 appropriations bills. We've not even voted on one of the 12 appropriations bills. So here it is. We went out basically October 1. And after we went out, we didn't get anything done. Here it is. It's now technically 2 months later. Still nothing has been done. So I don't see how we are going to get to the point that we end up in a space in which we reopen the government. That the government does not shut down. So I see the government shutting down. One of the reasons that I am going to be a little bit more absent than I would like to be from the district, specifically in January, is because we are going to have to stay in DC, and if the government shuts down, I won't be able to get out. Like I'll be stuck there.
Lovely kitty.
To kind of, make sure that once we shut down, we hopefully reopen.
Cuddle in my lap. Yeah. Come sit on my lap, kitty. Oh.
Okay, we are going to move to our next question. This next question is around immigration. The question is, what is Congress doing to protect mixed status families from sudden separation and deportation?
Nothing. I mean, that's the honest answer, unfortunately. Right now, they're not really protecting anyone, if I'm being perfectly honest, mixed status or otherwise. What we're seeing right now is that people are being rounded up by the federal government, regardless of their status. We have American citizens that are being rounded up. On December 9th, I went to the Senate so that we could have a hearing about U.S. citizens that have been arrested. Some have been shot. They've been unlawfully charged. All those things. I'm so confused. we have, sorry, we're having issues with our live on Instagram. So right now, you know, I referenced the Clear ID Act that I filed because we've also seen people that have been nabbed by people that have no legal authority. I would argue that even ICE agents are under minimal legal authority because they are currently violating people's rights, their constitutional rights. And that's one of the reasons that we're seeing so many violations take place as it relates to individuals that are even citizens. So right now, I just want to say that I applaud everyone in the community because the community is stepping up in a way that they should never have to step up because the federal government has decided to attack its own people from within. It is really a devastating reality of what America has become under this rogue administration. So I just encourage all of you to stay strong. I encourage all of you to stay informed. I also encourage all of you to reach out to our office. We are willing to do all that we can, whether it's assisting as people are going into their appointments, or whether something happens that is disastrous when somebody goes into an appointment, or whether they're just driving down the street, or whatever it is. The only way that we can help is if we know what's going on.
Sorry, Kitty.
And with me serving on the Oversight Committee as well as serving on the Immigration Subcommittee, we are in a position to at least do something because I am on committees of jurisdiction. But we are really in a bad way right now. And it is going to take all of us standing together and saying, you know what, enough is enough. It is time for us to stand together, lock arms with our brothers and sisters, and understand that this isn't a fight that any of us have an opportunity to sit out. One of the things that we noticed when they went into Chicago is they went into the south side of Chicago. They decided to terrorize, you know, those persons that were living in an apartment building to the extent that they were handcuffing or zip tying children, you know, outside babies. You know, I just don't know that this is the America that we want. And frankly, if it is the America that you want, then great, you got exactly what you want. But I've got news for you, that if they can do this to one of us, they can do this to any of us. We have seen that here recently with obviously the incarceration or the arrest and the prosecution of my colleague, LaMonica McIver, who was simply trying to exercise her oversight duties
Gotta get some
at
wine.
Delaney
I'll be
Hall,
right back.
which is an immigration detention facility in New Jersey. And here recently we know that someone else just died at Delaney Hall. The fact that they are trying to charge a sitting member of Congress, actually not trying, that they are charging a sitting member of Congress with offenses where she's facing up to 17 years in prison because she literally was trying to conduct oversight so that hopefully there would not be a scenario where somebody would die. When we are living with an administration that has the deadliest ICE record on history in this country for 1 year, and frankly, I don't trust all of the numbers that we get from ICE in the first place. I don't trust the numbers that we get from this administration at all. We know that this administration has consistently been caught lying. We know that this administration specifically got caught up on the jobs numbers and not giving us the real numbers. We know that the CCOT special that they wanted to stop from coming out, the 60-minute special, we know that as it relates to that, they kept trying to tell everybody that they were just rounding up a bunch of criminals. But by their own records, they were only showing that 3% of the people that were located in that facility were criminally justice impacted in some way, meaning that either they were facing new charges or that they had any convictions. 3%. And you're telling me that it's okay to torture somebody. Listen, I'm trying to tell y'all that, like, I know we want to talk about citizen versus not, but with the Supreme Court doing what they've done, the Supreme Court has decided that it is okay to racially profile people. So if you have an accent, or if your
Hey,
skin
they gave
color
the
just
9-ball
is
table
not one
away.
that they
Nice.
think is, quote unquote, American enough, then
That's
that
a good
will
free
be
item.
enough to grab you.
Cool.
And with them deciding that they are going to ignore the Constitution and ignore the fact that everyone, regardless of who they are, has a right to due process where they can actually show literally their papers. Right now, a lot of citizens are getting rounded up in this. So I don't want people to believe that this is an issue that we only need to leave to immigration. This is an issue that is impacting all of us from a very direct standpoint of any of us potentially being rounded up to the extent that we know that there are a lot of people that are immigrants and some that aren't, that are too afraid to take their children to school, too afraid to go to work. This is impacting us in our economy. We know that tourism is down. We really need to understand that, what affects one affects all. And we must continue to stand united.
Thank you, Congresswoman. The next question is specifically around the Epstein files. The question is, why is the Department of Justice able to break the law and withhold the Epstein files?
Well, okay, let me see. Okay, so here's the deal on the Epstein files. There are people that are absolutely functioning above the law. I will say that this administration believes that they are above the law. I have consistently made sure that I've made it clear that we need to make sure that there are going to be state and local prosecutors that are going to be at the ready once this administration is done, because I still don't know how much we'll be able to get done with this Department of Justice. They are serving in this moment, but Pam Bondi will not be the Attorney General forever. Mark my words on that. And so having, this is a matter of the fox protecting the hen house. That's the issue that we are dealing with now. We have no daylight between the executive branch and the Department of Justice. We have no daylight between the executive branch and the House and the Senate. We have no daylight between anybody and the executive branch. And that is why we have gathered for No Kings rallies and things like that, because really a lot of people have ceded their power over to someone who has said multiple times that he wants to be a dictator.
My God, she's
beautiful. And the only way that you can do that in a democracy is if everybody else rolls over.
She's so fucking
and so
hot.
The Department of Justice is the one that would typically
I had no idea she was this beautiful.
Do the enforcement. Now, we may have some options with our courts. We know that the only reason Tish James had her charges dismissed and Comey had his charges dismissed was because the judiciary stood strong. We know that the only way that we were about to see some semblance of fairness as it relates to the state of Texas and our maps was because a Trump-appointed judge wrote a 160-page opinion, and in that opinion, he laid out why the maps were racist. And just so y'all know, because I testified in front of this 3-judge panel, I can tell you none of them were black. So I don't want y'all to think that this was a color thing. I really long for the days that our judges are just calling balls and strikes and following the law. I will tell you that there are plenty of judges that have done a lot better by us than the Supreme Court itself. The Supreme Court, in my opinion, is compromised. The Supreme Court, in my opinion, needs some supervision. And the only body that can actually provide that supervision is the Senate. The Senate is the body that oversees the Supreme Court as well as the judiciary as a whole. And we also need to think about where we stand on asking people about things such as term limits for some of these judges. I wrote a bill where we are proposing, or I'm a co-sponsor of a bill, where we're proposing an 18-year term limit on judges. That's still a long time. That's a very long time, 18 years. But it would ensure that our judiciary stays fresh. It would ensure that it turns over. It would ensure that hopefully, no matter, what the political winds are for that moment, that we can kind of keep the judiciary up with where the people are. So these are the questions that we should be asking about, where do you stand on term limits? Where do you stand on expanding the court? Where do you stand on some sort of ethics reform or ethics in general? Because the Supreme Court is the only court, the only judges in the United States of America that have no ethics that they have to abide by, which is quite astounding.
Another fixer, a 2-star fixer.
Kitty.
Okay, good. Oh. Get back in the thing. Just gotta level up that. Ooh, nice Mutants Enclave pistol. And treasury notes, which is why I'm back here. I think that cost me 5,000 caps, though. But I don't know. Like, yeah, I think I did. I think I did buy one of those for 5,000 caps. I think I did, but maybe now I'm done with a quest. We'll see. Grunt bounties. I'm looking for another bounty. Okay. Oh, no, maybe you only have to pay 5,000 caps one time, then you can just go start one. So let's see. No, this isn't like letting me do a grunt hunt or whatever. Your tail keeps tickling me. You cute little kitty. You cute little kitty. I love you so much. Yeah, you're such a nice little warm kitty. I love my kitty. I like love bombing the kitty. She's such a good kitty. I like bombing her. Healing Outlaw name. Ooh.
Mr. Patel, I want to start off where we left off last time. I asked you whether you had any knowledge or discussions about removing FBI officials and installing political personnel before you were confirmed to that position.
That's a nice warm
And I
blanket,
wonder, did you then understand or have conversations with the White House about the intentions to do so?
Before I was confirmed?
Yes, sir.
Did I have discussions with the White House to remove FBI personnel?
Yes.
No.
So you're saying that you had no discussions with the White House before you were in the position about the removal of any personnel from the agency?
As I was preparing for my confirmation hearing, I had numerous discussions involving the type of people that would be employed, and that those that were failing to meet the mark at the FBI would no longer be employed if I were
And I'm
considered.
assuming that mark had to do with loyalty to the Trump administration.
No, you're wrong.
Okay. I'd like to revisit another subject from that hearing. Did you testify, excuse me, you did testify before the grand jury that President Trump had declassified the documents at issue in the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case. Is that correct?
I don't have the grand jury transcript. That's why I released it. Whatever it says is the best evidence.
You know, that's what you said to Senator Whitehouse, that your grand jury testimony was publicly released. It has not been. In fact, in July, a court denied a news outlet's bid to get that transcript. But the court said quite clearly that you are free to discuss your grand jury testimony. So I ask you again, did you testify before the grand jury that President Trump declassified the documents at issue in the Mar-a-Lago classified document case?
And that is why I took your invitation to work with the department and the court to have that transcript released. And the transcript is the best evidence of what I said then.
So you're saying right now this committee can have access to what you said before the grand jury?
To whatever was released. Under my understanding, Senator, that the Department of Justice
You and I both understand the law. Let me finish. I understand under Rule 6 of the Federal Rules of Procedure, a grand jury witness, in this case you, is not barred from sharing their grand jury testimony. This is an oversight hearing. This is germane to your integrity and credibility.
Basically,
you know right now whether or not you testified that President Trump declassified the documents at issue in the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case. Why are you refusing to answer that simple yes or no question right now?
Because the premise of your question is inaccurate, and
there is no premise to my question, but trying to get to an order of what is truth or not.
How do you How do you know what was asked in the grand jury if you weren't there?
Mr. President, this is a mockery you're making of this hearing and simple questions.
It's a simple question. If you have
Mr.
a
Patel,
transcript,
during
you can
your
read the question,
nomination
but you don't have it.
hearing, you promised that, quote, all FBI employees will be protected against political retribution. When I asked you, are you aware of any plans or discussions to punish in any way, including termination, FBI agents or personnel associated with the Trump administration, you explicitly said under oath that you were not aware of any plans to punish FBI agents associated with criminal investigations of Donald Trump. I don't believe you were truthful. Firing FBI employees based solely on the cases that they are investigating, their case assignments, is illegal, and you know that. A new lawsuit that's been discussed numerous times, filed by 3 FBI officials, alleges that you carried out Donald Trump's campaign of retribution, in quotes, against FBI employees for, quote, failure to demonstrate sufficient political loyalty. One of those plaintiffs has been discussed today, Brian Driscoll. Now, we know 20 years of distinguished service to the FBI before you terminated him. Special agent in charge of FBI's Newark field office, where he operated with distinction. Medal of Valor winner, Shield of Bravery awards. He's a patriot. You terminated Driscoll via a letter dated October 8th, 2025, and in that letter you said that you were firing him pursuant to Article 2 of the Constitution. Well, you're not the President of the United States, and so I'm wondering under what authority you were allowed to terminate him.
That matter is under litigation, and I'm not able to discuss it.
Okay, well, discuss this. Did you have discussions with Stephen Miller about firing this particular person or about his continuance in the FBI?
Not that I recall.
How often do you speak to Stephen Miller?
Frequently on our Homeland Security task forces.
You frequently talk with Stephen Miller about subjects other than Homeland Security task force issues, correct?
I frequently talk to Mr. Miller about Homeland Security task forces.
Has Stephen Miller ever given you his opinions on how to run your agency?
Mr. Miller's interagency operations are invaluable to the FBI. That's what we talk about.
So you frequently discuss your job and your responsibilities with Stephen Miller and Pam Bondi, I imagine.
I just ordered 30 medium mining ships.
Understood.
That blue 40 million
Donald Trump promised to make us all safer. You have pushed out senior FBI agents with decades of knowledge and experience. In fact, this is the first time in FBI history that neither the director nor the deputy director have any experience with the FBI. You've shifted the agency's priorities primarily to pursuing Donald Trump's immigration enforcement agenda. According to ICE data, the Cato Institute, which is a conservative think tank, found that 20% of all agents have been diverted from their work to assist ICE immigration enforcement. 20%. Part of this operation is the work of mass law enforcement who jump out of cars, snatch people off streets at churches, schools, and their jobs and hospitals. Have there been any FBI agents who investigate crimes against children that have been assigned to immigration enforcement, yes or no?
The premise of what you say is entirely
false. Have there been any FBI agents who investigate foreign domestic terrorism?
You don't get to say America is not safer under this leadership.
I am not saying
America is safer because of the work of the FBI.
You're making a presumption of premise.
4,700 children.
Sir,
we have seized 6,000 weapons and 23,000 violent felons have been arrested.
That FBI agents who investigate human trafficking have been reassigned to immigration enforcement. You are not denying that FBI agents who are on the task force that fight against Russian oligarchs have not been reassigned. Public Corrections Squad reassigned. People who defend children reassigned. You're not denying that. I've seen time and time again attack my colleagues' premises of questions as a way to not answer the question. So let me end with this. I believe you have made our country weaker and less safe. I believe that we are more vulnerable to a major event, and I pray to God it doesn't happen. You've gutted the Bureau of Institutional Knowledge and Expertise. You fired or pushed out seasoned FBI officials, many with more than 20 years of experience, and were working on cases that were critical. You've been purging thousands of serious law enforcement officials who spent their careers keeping us safe, only to lower hiring standards in order to find anyone to replace them. And shockingly, you admitted in this hearing to Senator Coons that it would take 14 years to fill the vacancies at your agency. Many are the result of your purge. 20% of FBI agents are doing low-level immigration enforcement instead of their mission-critical work. You've disbanded entire task forces that stop election interference, foreign influence, public corruption. And who benefits from this? Well, corrupt people benefit from it. Criminals benefit from it. Vladimir Putin benefits from it. And it really makes me wonder who you're looking out for. It makes me think we can't trust you as a nation. You swear to release the Epstein files, but now you're withholding the Epstein files. You claim that you have a suspect in a serious assassination. Whoops, then you don't have a suspect. You know nothing about plans to remove FBI agents, yet you're directly involved in those plans. In the words of an ex-FBI official, you are overseeing, and I quote, generational destruction of the nation's premier law enforcement agency. Mr. Patel, in just 8 months, you have assaulted the institutional integrity of the FBI. But I know FBI field agents. I've worked with them in Newark. No matter how truly bad you are, you can't undermine the legacy of agents who fight every day to keep us safe, but you can tarnish the integrity of the agency and undermine the agency's capacity. I believe you're failing as a leader, and that your failure does have serious implications for the safety and security of Americans and our families. We're more vulnerable to domestic and foreign attack because of your failures of leadership. I don't think you're fit to head the Bureau, but here's the thing, Mr. Patel. I think you're not going to be around long. I think this might be your last oversight hearing. Because as much as you supplicate yourself to the will of Donald Trump and not the Constitution of the United States of America, Donald Trump has shown us in his first term and in this term, he is not loyal to people like you. He will cut you loose. This may be the last time I have a hearing with you because I don't think you're long for your job. But I'm going to tell you this, I pray for you. I pray for you that you can step up and defend your oath, defend the Constitution, and do a much better job of defending this country. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Do you want to say anything?
Yes, sir. That rant of false information does not bring this country together. If you want to work on bringing this country, it's my time, not yours.
My God.
If you want to talk about
dividing this country,
it is
I
my
follow
time.
you on your social media posts that
It is
tear
my
this country
time
apart.
to
There
address
should be a
your
unifying.
falsehoods.
Oh,
You are an
you can
embarrassment
try all
to the
you
division
want
in this country.
to not take
It is
responsibility
my time.
for what
You
you
had
have
your
said.
time.
Sir, you're
Your
making a
time is
mockery of this
over.
committee. Sir, you don't tell me my time is over.
You
The
know how
people
far
of New
we've
Jersey
come
tell me
since
what my
you
time is.
tell-
You can't lecture me.
You can tell me
Sir,
my time's over?
You may be in charge of the
I'm not
FBI,
going anywhere.
but I am not afraid of you.
Mr. Chairman.
Not afraid of you.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Senator Booker, I announced at the beginning of this meeting that this back and forth talking over each other doesn't work. And I said if that happened, I asked Patel not to respond, and I was going to give him some time after the senator's time was up to respond. And he has the privilege to do that uninterrupted.
Mr.
So
Chairman, one point of
go
order.
ahead, Mr.
I've watched him talk over us, and you've never once criticized him for us not even being able to get our questions out.
Well,
he has been rude and disrespectful to senator after senator.
And when the senators were not giving him a chance to answer, I didn't stop the senator either. Go ahead, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If the FBI, under my 7-month leadership, were failing this administration in this country, why do we have 23,000 violent felons arrested this year alone? A double increase from that time last year. Why is it that we have seized 6,000 weapons? Why have we found 1,500 child predators and arrested them? Why have we 300 human traffickers in jail? Why have we found and identified 4,700 children? Why have we seized 1,600 kilograms of fentanyl in enough to kill a third of the American public, a 25% increase alone from last year. 88,000 kilograms of cocaine seized, 7,000 kilograms of meth seized, and that's just on our criminal operations in summer heat. How is it possible that we're taking 8 kilograms off the streets of the cities in New Jersey and preventing the deaths of 607,000 people this year alone, a failure of the FBI and my leadership? How is it that we have counterintelligence arrests already this year exceeding the numbers from the entirety of last year? 33% increase in PRC, 83% in Russia, 60% in the CI space as it relates to Iran, and we haven't even talked about CT, the southern border, the northern border.
Before Senator Cruz, I kind of feel like a broken record today. All this interest in FBI termination, yet my colleagues showed no intent or interest in when my whistleblowers suffered retaliation over the past years, particularly the past 4 years. Indeed, one whistleblower has alleged that Brian Driscoll's insubordination, whether an agent is on a hot button case or not, they ought to be held accountable for misconduct and weaponization. Senator Cruz.
My God. That old man, he should not be running our Congress.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Gladstein, will you tell me the organizations that pose on the domestic side, two of the organizations, number one, number two, threat to the homeland at this point?
Can you please clarify, like organizations?
Any domestic terrorist organization that poses a threat to the homeland as we speak?
I'd say the first one, President Trump had just announced executive order domestic terrorist organization, Antifa. That's our primary concern right now.
The Antifa?
All right, that's
you fucking
President Trump
idiot.
did. What does the FBI say?
We share the same view. When you look at the data right now, you look at the domestic terrorist threat that we're facing.
You're slow when you talk.
Right now, what I see from my position is that's the most immediate violent threat that we're facing on the domestic side.
So where is the Antifa headquarters?
What we're doing right now is
where in the United
where is
States
Antifa's
does
headquarters?
Antifa exist?
Does it exist? Yeah.
If
Does it
it's a
even
terrorist
exist?
organization,
Yeah,
and
where
you've
is
identified
it?
as
Have you
number
found a
one.
leader? Have you
We are
found
building
even
out
any
infrastructure right
soldiers or
now.
like a dude with a cell phone or anything?
So what does that
no, you've found protesters and you're lying.
We
And
trying to get
you're
the
charging
information.
us
You said
money for a
Antifa
budget to catch a
is
fake
terrorist
fucking
organization.
criminal.
Tell us as a committee, how did you come to that? Where do they exist? How many members do they have in the United States as of right now?
Yeah.
Well, it's very
Billions.
fluid. It's ongoing for us to understand
Billions.
that.
It's
The same, no different than
ongoing.
Al-Qaeda and ISIS.
No, I don't want you. I'll ask one question, sir. I
Ask
just want you
one
to tell
question,
us.
sir.
If you said Antifa is the
76.
number one domestic terrorist organization operating in the United States, I just
love
need to
that.
know where they are, how many people. I don't want a name. I don't want anything like that. Just how many people have you identified with the FBI?
I think there's wind in this game.
That Antifa is
No,
made
no,
of.
that's exactly where I shot it. But yeah, still.
When the investigations are active,
So you wouldn't come to this committee and say something you can't prove. I know you wouldn't do that. But you did.
But you did.
Madam Secretary, you and the gentleman from NCTC reference the unfortunate accident that occurred with National Guardsmen being killed.
You think that was an unfortunate accident?
I mean,
It was a terrorist.
No, wait. Look, I'll get it straight. Then you can.
He shot our
respond.
National Guardsman in the head.
Look, Mr. Chairman, will you direct the witness to allow me to ask my question? It was an unfortunate situation, but you blamed it solely on Joe Biden. I want you to know who approved the asylum application for this same person.
Mr. Thompson, this individual that came into the country.
No, I want to know who approved.
Congressman Thompson, I want you to understand.
No,
when this individual came into the country, he came
I'm
under
not gonna let you.
evacuation of Afghanistan under Operation Allies Welcome, was thoroughly vetted by the Biden administration at that point in time, allowed into our country, and then was never followed up. I want to remind everybody in Congress.
Reclaim my time.
We follow the law, and every asylum is supposed to have a check-in every single year, and the Biden administration failed to do that. They vetted this individual, allowed them into our country, and did not do due.
The witness will allow the gentleman to ask his question.
Yes or no? Who approved the asylum claim?
The application on the asylum was thoroughly filled out by information that was gathered by the Biden administration.
So the Biden administration approved the asylum.
His asylum application was put into place under the rules established by the Biden administration.
Reclaiming my time. I don't want to file perjury charges against you, but I'm of the opinion that the Trump administration, DHS, your DHS, approved the asylum application.
The asylum application moved forward under all of the information and vetting processes that were put in place under the Biden administration, which is when vetting happened. And that's what President Trump has changed. Under President Trump's administration.
Reclaim my time again.
When
it's obvious you don't want to answer the question. Mr. Kent, you want a shot at it?
The individual was vetted to serve as a soldier in Afghanistan, and that vetting standard was used by the Biden administration as a ruse to bring him here. Had we followed the standard operating procedures for special immigrant visas, that individual and none of the Allies Welcome people would have come to America. That's on Joe Biden.
Gentleman's time has expired.
That was the answer.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. That was a murder that took place in D.C. It was not an unfortunate incident. And those comments are effing disrespectful.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I agree with my colleague from Texas. It is a tale of two cities. Secretary Noem, Trump administration, you're going after the worst of the worst criminals, and we agree with you. The problem is 70% of the people you've arrested have no criminal record. You're going after non-criminal immigrants, U.S. citizens, and permanent legal residents. Donna Hughes Brown, Irish citizen, green card holder, 48 years in the United States. She also happens to be the mother of a U.S. Marine, sister to a retired Army colonel. She's in ICE detention since July. She tried to come back from Ireland, arrested, has been there since then. Her crime? She wrote 2 bad checks for less than $80 a decade ago. You arrested her, she's in custody. Her husband, Jim Brown, came to us and told us her story. Jim told us, I voted for President Trump because he promised to go after criminals in our community and not people like my wife. If I can, I'd like to play a video for you.
Only one, and he wants 5,000 for it. Alien corpse operating
Then he
bed.
also voted for
I
President
think I should
Trump.
buy this, even though it'll
Yes, sir.
really bust me
Why
down.
did you vote for him?
No, I don't
Because
think I
I
will.
was an idiot.
That's too
80%
much
of the
tabs for just that
evangelical
one thing.
Christian people were lied to, if you really want to know the truth, and that's exactly what happened. They said criminal, and I believe criminals need to be off the street.
I just want to make sure people watching this understand who you are.
My wife and I, when we don't work, we're ministers. We help the needy. That's what we do. And that's who they're arresting. It's
Now, we've got Mr. Jim Brown before you. He's standing up. Hopefully you can talk to him a little bit. These people, Donna Hughes Brown, are not the individuals that should be deported. Another case, Narciso Barranco was beaten and arrested by masked agents while working as a landscaper. He's an undocumented immigrant, 30 years in this country, not a traffic ticket. Mr. Barranco is also the father of 3 U.S. Marines. 3 Marines. You want to make a movie of people like this. A man who comes to this country, instills patriotism in his kids. They swear an oath to serve and possibly give up their life for this country. We play a video on this as well, please.
Masked federal agents were filmed pinning a man to the ground and repeatedly striking him in the head and neck before putting him in an unmarked car. The man in the video has been identified as Narciso Barranco and is the father of 2 active duty Marines and 1 Marine veteran. The Department of Homeland Security said an illegal alien was arrested by Border Patrol agents after he, quote, assaulted federal law enforcement, adding that Barranco, quote, swung a weed whacker directly at an agent's face.
Hi.
Video shared by DHS and reviewed by CNN shows Barranco running with a weed whacker, but does not show him striking officers.
I also have with us today
Dinner
Alex
time
Barranco
soon.
behind you, a retired Marine. That's his father. And Alex, on behalf of myself, members here, I want to thank you for your service to our country, and we also thank your brothers for serving our great country. Thank you very much. Got another case. George Rete, 25-year-old, native of California, my home state. He's a U.S. citizen, Army veteran who served in Iraq. Well, on his way to work, he came to an immigration checkpoint. Pulled over. I don't know where officers deployed tear gas on him, broke his car
Blew
window,
7,000
pepper sprayed
caps
him,
again.
and dragged him out of his car. An American citizen held for 72 hours without any charges, wasn't even given the opportunity to shower, to wash off that paper
Gentleman's
spray.
time's expired. I now recognize the gentleman from Mississippi, Mr. Guest.
Mr. Chairman, I have 2 articles I'd like to present for the record.
Unanimous consent.
Under President Trump, an agency intended to keep Americans safe has diverted resources from child abuse, trafficking, and terrorism to immigration enforcement. Second is this letter from my Orange County Sheriff, Don Barnes, essentially talking about all the individuals under Prop 50 referred to ICE. 2025 year to date, 50 of them.
Without objection.
ICE never showed up to pick them up.
Thank you, Chairman Garbarino and Ranking Member Thompson, for having.
Okay, so plan Big Meadows gas well snow globe. Plan for drown box lamp. High knob lookout snow globe. Honeycomb paper standing Santa. Hunting rifle wrapping paper paint, metal armor snowflakes paint, mole rat wind chime, mounted beaver, mounted mongrel head, mounted agua head, red rocket gas station lamp. I'm excited about that one. It was expensive. Slumber mill motel snow globe. I bought 2 of them. Tycoon lake sign, Wendigo tube, wildlife turkey trail sign. What was that, like 20 fucking notes or, oh, sorry, 20 plans or something? Fucking sweet. Let's go see if I need recipes or anything. Nope, that was it. No recipes, but yeah, oh well. Used to find recipes, but not anymore. Now I'm down to 116. I'm gonna put some more notes in here and sort by value. Yep, and then we'll come and yeah, we'll go all the way to the top. Yep. Slumber mill motel snow globe is worth more than what I paid for it. Metal armor snowflakes paint. Mr. Handy buzzblade. Nuka-Cola grenade. Motion assist servos. I've got 49 of them for some reason. Mayaway rifle snow. Some of these can be assigned, some of these can't. I'm gonna dump them all for now. Yeah, and nice. And that puts me at, oh, my beautiful kitty. 528 plans. I have 528 plans in my machine, which is fucking awesome. Now, your tail's on my keyboard, kitty. Okay, I have all of these ships in construction. Missing shield components, not enough resources on the station. Order may take a long time. Shield components, huh? Well, in any event, when those 7 get done being made, I will send them all out here. Or, well, I don't know. We'll go... And then there'll be another pack. I'll send the other pack to a different place. We will mimic commander's behavior alpha. And then we'll send this guy to go mine. I want him to go local auto mine. In probably where? Oh, local auto mine, or in Grand Exchange 1. Go. And I'll just keep having him stack money. And then 7 more things will be made by morning, and I'll, yeah, never mind, they're making them right now, so I'll send 7 more mining ships to Billionaire, or billion, whatever it is. Okay, I bought some plans, I got some low-hanging fruit, I believe I'm done with this game, I believe I will, oh, this guy might be buying stuff, so maybe not. Oh, yep, see, so I'll stay, I guess, yep. And, oh, thank you. Well, if he's fucking around, then I will go do something else. What's my weight at? 225 out of 388. I'm good. So let's go look at other low-hanging fruit. We've got, kill a burning rad scorpion. Collect pre-rad war food, pre-war food. Kill an enemy with any shotgun. Knocks. Oops. Big Daddy P. Yep. Gotta go buy legendaries, I think. Yep. Gonna go buy legendaries right quick. That's a lot of fucking ammo and shit. I'll take it, sure. Yeah, we're buying lots of melee ranged. Well, no, I guess I could buy some melee weapons. 3-star melee weapons. Yeah, why not? We'll buy some 3-star melee weapons. We'll buy... Ooh, Vampire's War Drum, huh? Damage isn't good enough. Buy ranged weapon. Terminator's crossbow. Melee weapon. No good. Ranged weapon. Not bad. I don't mind that roll. Yeah, that's not a bad roll. So, melee weapon. Assassin's Drill. It's good, but it doesn't have the stats I'm looking for. And ranged weapon. No good. Melee weapon. Nope, I'm out. And then we go back and I bust these. For whatever daily script I have left. The Assassin's Drill isn't that bad of a weapon. This thing's about as good as a crossbow comes if it isn't named. Exterminator's Short gets busted. Ghoul Slayer's Sickle. Gatling Plasma. Vampire's War Drum. No, I don't like any of this. Like, I don't even like the drill, honestly. The drill is no good. Yeah, so let's take the credits back. We're looking around for more range. No, I don't need another ranged weapon. I guess a melee weapon would be best, like a named melee weapon. It's close, but no cigar. No cigar. So, now, Deckload Gauntlet. One more. I'll keep these points. Then, what else? It's 11:20. I go to bed soon. Oh, my kitty likes my heated throw. I like my kitty. It's dinner time, kitty. You want some dinner? Yeah, you ready for dinner time, kitty? Yeah, am I speaking your language? So get up, babe. I'm gonna feed you. Yeah. Time for dinner time, kitty. You ready? Oh, maybe this kitty's hungry. Maybe you're not hungry, huh? Oh, never mind. Are you not hungry, kitty? That's okay. I'm gonna leave the food on the plate. Yeah, this kitty's not very hungry. So, yep, that's about all I want to do here. I think I will work on some Starfield and get on Grand Theft Auto. Lunch. I feel ripped off by, what's it called? Let's see. I feel ripped off by Arc Raiders because I wanted it on GeForce Now and I never did get it, which is so annoying. Disco Elysium. Starfield. Was that what I was gonna do? Yes, I think so. I could go farm WoW, but no, I think I would rather do some Starfield. No, I think I probably will do some WoW and go or well, I don't know. like, yeah, I could mine and I could level up professions. That's something I could do with a character transfer. Yeah, I have like a leveled... No, I don't. I have a leveled evoker, but I don't have a leveled... I don't have a leveled monk on Alliance side, so I suppose leveling the professions would actually be good, but by the time the expansion comes out, who cares about the last expansion's professions? No, there's like no real work to do there. There's just by midnight, have a character at cap with like mining and or whatever. I guess I could level mining and herbalism up to cap in the current zone and get all the prereqs, but all that stuff will change the minute the expansion hits. It's basically pre-patch. It's like there's no reason to do the previous expansion. I suppose right now would be the only time I would ever really have an incentive to do the MSQ Alliance side for the War Within before I never do the expansion again. I don't want to do the MSQ. I don't really like the MSQ. It's a lot of work, you know? It's not really... I mean, it might pay a lot of money, but it's not... I don't really want to do the MSQ per se. I don't think so. Yeah. Anyways, get me on GTA Online. Are you going to yell Chrissy
This
Gnome
hearing
yet?
today. I know the American people have been demanding answers from this administration on their unlawful actions. So I hope we are able to get some useful answers from our witnesses today.
Look at the
Secretary Noem,
sign.
this past May, I asked you during a congressional hearing if
Wait,
it
no,
was the
I want
policy
you to go back,
of DHS.
but you're not like doing what I asked you to do. Yeah, you're like, what? Oh no, maybe it's the keyboard. Yeah, I don't know. Keyboard should let me do that. No.
To follow orders issued by federal courts. You said on the record, and I'm quoting here, we are following all federal orders. End of my quote, end of your quote. Secretary Noem, you lied to me under oath that day. You lied to the American people, and you have betrayed.
Yeah, what's with that big sign behind him? I mean, is that how they play this now? They just like put a big lie up there?
Betrayed the trust placed upon you in your role as Secretary of Homeland Security. You defied federal court orders when you refused to order the deportation flights to El Salvador in March to turn around. Federal injunctions in your continued to send non-citizens on deportation flights, with some courts having called your orders unlawful. Secretary Noem, I just have 3 questions for you. 1, why did you lie under oath by saying DHS was following all federal court orders when they clearly were not?
Congressman.
Question 2, let me finish my questions. Question 2, why did you mislead the American people when you said that no American citizens have been arrested or detained by federal immigration agents? And my last question, number 3, Donald Trump said that your ICE agents haven't gone far enough. Do you think terrorizing American citizens and assaulting peaceful protesters isn't far enough?
Congressman, the Department of Homeland Security and this administration complies with all federal court orders. We always have, and we always will.
Not true.
And we will continue to appeal. And, sir, I will even tell you that at the highest court, at the Supreme Court, the Department of Homeland Security in our litigation has an over 90% success rate in winning at the highest court in our battle against activist judges across this country.
Madam Secretary,
we will continue to appeal. And then when it gets to the highest court and we get a decision, it is proven that we are
reclaim my time
that we
here.
have been compliant. I will also say,
Madam Secretary, let me...
You want me to answer your questions or not?
I do, but let me... you haven't been telling us the truth. Look, there have been at least 170 known cases of citizens being arrested or detained by federal immigration agents this year alone. This is the truth. Are you lying to the American people right now? by denying these reports.
When we are doing our targeted enforcement operations against criminal illegal aliens, individuals that are in that area may be detained until we verify who they are, and then they are released. This has been done for years, and every single law enforcement operation that has always happened, we follow the same protocols, and we continue to do that. We have never once detained or deported an American citizen. We have not held them and charged them. When we find out to verify their identity, then that is when they are released. You also asked about ICE agents going far enough. Sir, I will tell you that every single ICE agent, CBP agent, federal law enforcement officer that's out there doing their work every day, none of them will rest until our communities are safe. None of them will rest until
Secretary Noam, it is a fact that you ignored federal orders.
And our children and our grandchildren can grow.
Let me reclaim my time here, please. Let me reclaim. Secretary Noam, it is a fact that you ignored federal court orders in March and in May of this year. Do you plan on ignoring more federal orders? I'm sick of your lies. And the American people demand the truth.
Because you keep saying it doesn't make it true.
I am sick of your lies. The American people are sick of these lies. American people demand truth.
America is very happy that finally they have a president in the White House that gets up every day to keep them safe.
Madam Secretary, your incompetence and your inability to truthfully carry out your duties of Secretary of Homeland Security, if you're not fired, will you resign?
Sir, I will consider your asking me to resign as an endorsement of my work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member, for holding this hearing today.
Of your work?
The greatest threat to the homeland right now is a Department of Homeland Security that the American people no longer trust, a department actively undermined by its own secretary. This is on you, Secretary Noam. Today's hearing is supposed to be about worldwide threats, but Madam Secretary, under your watch, the threat is coming from inside the building. Because when DHS, the department charged with keeping Americans safe, is caught breaking the law, lying to the American public, systematically dismantling oversight, fueling bigotry, and targeting vulnerable communities, trust is broken. Let's start with the basics. How can we trust your department with you at the helm? The American people deserve an answer, even if you've spent the past year dodging accountability like it's your full-time job. We need to talk about oversight. Oversight is not optional. It is not a courtesy because you feel like it. It is not something you entertain only when it's politically convenient to you. Yet, time and time again, Secretary Noam, you have treated congressional oversight as an inconvenience at best, and at worst, something to be invaded, ignored, or denied altogether. Republicans on this committee may be willing to hand over their constitutional duty in order to kiss this administration's butt cheeks, but I am not. I will never. My district is not, and the American people sure aren't. While Republicans turned this hearing into a praise fest for your failed 10-year communities across America, including mine in New Jersey, are made less safe because DHS under your leadership has become unproductive and malicious. All of the thank you that we keep hearing from across the aisle, there's no thank you from me. And we see the truth that you're trying to hide. The truth is you are deeply unqualified for the post you hold. This is on full display in the way you treat the people in this body, myself included, who have been elected to serve our communities and keep them safe. Representative Grajava, Senator Padilla, myself and others whose character, integrity, and bodies were attacked by your department without evidence and without apology. Far beyond being disrespectful, you have shown a complete disregard for the oversight authority granted to us by law. You have repeatedly shown that you will target whoever you want, whenever you want, without accountability. Members of Congress, members of our communities, and even American citizens, as many of my colleagues have continued to point out today. Secretary Noam, that's not leadership. That's not democracy. And that is not how this works. Again, this is not just about you. Don't want you to think this is just a pick on you day. This is about the Trump administration that has turned DHS into a political weapon. So I'll ask you this. Is Trump embarrassed by your tenure, or is this exactly the kind of god-awful leadership he wants at DHS? Yes or no?
Ma'am, we've already conducted more oversight visits.
No. It's a yes or no. Yes or no. Okay, Secretary Noem, this is my time to talk, not your time to talk. I reclaim my time. I reclaim my time. I reclaim my time.
Transparent
Chair, I reclaim my
we've ever
time.
had.
Secretary Noem, DHS is breaking the law, hiding information from Congress and shutting out oversight. So let me ask you, how can the American people trust your department with you at the helm with this kind of behavior?
The American people absolutely trust this department to keep them safe. And we
No, I
are
don't.
showing that every day by the support
I
we
don't.
get across the country, the amount of people that we're recruiting to all of
Thank
our
you,
different
Secretary
agencies.
Noem. Do you
threatening us
agree
for
that
a
using
year.
DHS
like
resources
you
to
all.
target members of Congress is an abuse of power?
You're an active threat to me.
Excuse me, would you say that
You
again?
would have heard me if you stopped talking
You
and
would
listened to
stop
my
talking
questions.
crazy.
Do you
Make it
agree
stop up.
that using DHS resources to target members of Congress is an abuse of power?
We are not doing that. We are out there enforcing the law, doing our work, and we are allowing oversight.
Of course, we're not
visits
going to get any
more than the
answers. With
entire
that,
Joe
Mr.
Biden
Chairman, I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, I just want to respond to a lot of what Secretary Noem has just testified to. And gentlemen, I have some comments that I hope you'll take back to the Secretary and to the Department. If there's anything that is clear about what is going on in this country, is that the rhetoric and fear that is happening is at an all-time escalated high. And we're all describing different aspects of it. Fear of law enforcement, fear of citizens, fear of people who are legally in this country. Because it's the rhetoric that is happening from the very top that is being decimated down level, and that is really, really dangerous. And one of the things that the Secretary said was she is restoring the rule of law. That is absolutely not true. Because the rule of law is founded on two fundamental principles. That if you are going to be subject to a criminal arrest in this country, that there is probable cause to do so.
Yep, probable
You
cause.
can't just snatch somebody walking into a coffee shop.
Yep, and
because
I
of the
want
color
your
of their
job.
skin.
Yep,
There's no probable cause for that.
no probable
And
cause.
also that you will get due process. And that is not happening.
That's not.
And so
that's
what
not
is
due process.
you're seeing is an overwhelming frustration of the American people in this country, that the lack of respect and regard for the rule of law by this administration, and in particular by this secretary, is at a level that we have never seen and violates all of the constitutional norms and all of the principles of legal fairness in this country. And you're seeing that manifest itself in threats to law enforcement and bubbling over because people are frustrated. And they are channeling that frustration because the administration is not listening and is only doubling down on the rhetoric. You know, this notion that I think my colleagues highlighted that we're only going to pursue serious threats. It's just not true. I visited an ICE facility outside of Dallas, and over 70% of them were classified as the lowest threat level, as never having a criminal record at all. But yet they were there because of the color of their skin. There was not a probable cause. They're not a threat to this country. They have no criminal history at all. I fully support, as does everyone on this committee, Homeland Security focusing on threats to our national security. We want cybersecurity. We want terroristic threats from abroad to be stopped. Absolutely.
Cybersecurity.
None of us want a
I don't think
recreation of
cybersecurity
9/11,
exists.
but we also do not want, under any level, the trampling of our constitutional rights and the legal system of due process. I have a poster here to highlight 3 American citizens that were arrested by ICE who had done nothing wrong. They presented themselves as American citizens, but yet were still trampled, assault. One had broken ribs, a brain injury, an older gentleman by being knocked down to the ground after he said, I'm an American citizen. But yet they did not stop. And that is a huge problem. When somebody says, I'm an American citizen to ICE, and ICE does not stop and continues to assault them and physically berate them and then hold them for days and days on end without a due process hearing, that is a problem.
Your job,
and it is
bitch.
not stopping. We have brought these concerns to the Secretary and to agencies like yourself in these hearings time and time again through multiple letters. We've all written letters that have gone unresponded because this cannot happen in our country. And the reality of it is, in any law enforcement situation, and what we have happening out into the public is there are ICE agents and there are Border Patrol agents that are doing their great job. They're doing what they're supposed to do. But there are also bad actors. There are people who are exceeding their authority. The power's gone to their head. The intimidation is outrageous. And there's no effort to rein them in by the FBI. There's no effort to rein them in by the Homeland Security. There's no effort to overcorrect, just like one of my colleagues highlighted, the reinstatement of one that was inappropriate. And these efforts are breaking down the trust of the American people. I hope you take these concerns back because they need to be addressed if we're going to address the violence in this country. I yield back.
Madam Secretary, how many United States military veterans have you deported?
Sir, we have not deported U.S. citizens or military veterans.
I don't believe you served in the military. I haven't either, but I think you and I can agree that as Americans, we owe everything to those who have served our country in uniform, particularly those who have served in combat. Do you agree with that?
Sir, I believe that people that are in this United States that are citizens have legal status here.
Madam Secretary, we are joined on Zoom by a gentleman named Sejun Park. He is a United States Army combat veteran who was shot twice while serving our country in Panama
You deported
in 1989.
his ass, didn't you?
Like many veterans, he struggled with PTSD and substance abuse after his service. He was arrested in the 1990s for some minor drug offenses, nothing serious. He never hurt anyone besides himself, and he's been clean and sober for 14 years. He is a combat veteran, a Purple Heart recipient. He has sacrificed more for this country than most people ever have.
You deported
Earlier
him.
this year, you deported him to Korea.
You deported
a country
him
he
to
hasn't lived in
Korea.
Since he was 7 years old. Will you join me in thanking Mr. Park for his service to our country?
Sir, I'm grateful for every single person that has served our country and follows our laws.
Can you please tell
and knows
Mr.
that our
Park
laws
why
are
you
important,
deported him?
Every one of them needs to be enforced.
But you understand that many veterans struggle with PTSD, many veterans struggle with substance abuse challenges.
You
This
deported
man
a Purple
took 2
Heart?
bullets for our country. Will you have broad authority, by
Fuck
the
you
way,
for
as
deporting
Secretary.
a Purple Heart, you bitch, and that's not a fucking word I use very often.
To issue humanitarian parole, to do deferred action. Will you commit to at least looking at Mr. Park's case to see if you can help him find a pathway back to this country that he sacrificed so much for?
I will absolutely look at his case, but I want you
Thank
to
you.
remember that
Madam
our
Secretary, the
programs
man
need to have
behind you,
integrity as
please
well.
stand up, sir. His name is Jim Brown from Troy, Missouri. He is a Navy combat veteran who served our country in the Gulf War. He's married to a woman named Donna, who came to our country legally from Ireland when she was 11 years old. She has lived here for 48 years.
48
Because
years!
Of
You
Jim's
deported
wife, Donna,
her?
has been in prison for the last 4 months.
Prison!
She did not come here illegally, and she has never committed any crime other than writing 2 bad checks totaling $80 10 years ago. She is currently in prison and facing deportation. Ms. Noem, will you thank Mr. Brown for his service to our country?
Thank you, Mr. Brown, for your service to our
Now, what possible explanation can there be for locking up his wife for 4 months when she has committed no crime other than writing a couple of bad checks for $80?
Sir, it is not my prerogative, my latitude, or my job to pick and choose which laws in this country get enforced.
You have broad discretion as the secretary. You can issue parole. You can do all kinds of things, but you're choosing not to. Will you commit again to just reviewing Donna's case and reuniting this combat veteran with his beloved wife,
fucking wife,
who also loves
you
this
fucking
country?
bitch.
Review the case.
That's not a word I
Now,
use
Madam
freely.
Secretary, you've already heard the story of Lance Corporal Alejandro Barranco, the United States Marine veteran who is behind you, who also has 2 brothers who are United States Marines. Will you thank
She's
Lance
a
Corporal
sociopath. She
Barranco
doesn't
for his
care.
service?
Thank you for your service.
His father, Narcisco Barranco, is a landscaper in California who has lived peacefully in our country for 30 years and has no criminal record. Last spring, while he was mowing the lawn at an IHOP, ICE agents tackled him in the street and imprisoned him for weeks. A peaceful, hard-working man who raised 3 sons to be United States Marines. We need men of that character in this country. Again, as secretary, you have broad discretion. Will you consider Lance Corporal Barranco's father for parole in place to stay in our country, owing to the fact that he has contributed to our country by raising 3 United States Marines?
This is an opportunity to remind everybody that every person that's in this country illegally has an opportunity to voluntarily go home and come back the right way.
He
Follow
raised
our
3
laws.
United States
We will
Marines.
facilitate that.
He has been living here peacefully, doing his job for 30 years. You have discretion. You are choosing not to use it. Madam Secretary, you promised America that you would go after the worst of the worst. But these people are not the worst of the worst. A Purple Heart recipient, a military spouse, the father of 3 Marines. And it's not just veterans and military families. You are locking up and deporting children with cancer, mothers with babies in the NICU, United States citizens. There are many problems with your leadership, but the biggest problem is this. You don't seem to know how to tell the difference between the good guys and the bad guys. Go after the bad guys. Go after the terrorists. Do not go after veterans, Marines, children,
Gentleman's
United
time's
States
expired.
citizens. I yield back.
Fuck you, Kristi Noem. Fuck you and the Republican horse idiots that you wrote in on. I like doing first person like flips. It's fun as hell. What? Oh. No. That killed me? Oh my god, are you serious? Come on. And the games are good now. This game looks so good. They took a bunch of their tech that they used in Red Dead Redemption 2 and they brought it to this game. Like the winter tech and stuff like that. Oh! Yeah, I landed on that one wrong. Ouch. Oh, yeah, and that bike is like a quarter mile away now. The way he runs with a gun is how I would imagine a drug addict would run with a fucking gun if they were really high. like aiming it out like back to the right, kind of. It's funny. If you're like really high on cocaine, you were running across like some frozen tundra, that's how you would hold the gun. Come on, get up the slope. Go, go, go. No, I don't want to fall. Just do this. No, I don't want to fall. Just do that. Yep, that's enough. Yeah, go there. Do that. There we go. Oh no, I got my bike back someplace I should have gone. This thing of tear into fucking Christy Gnome's butthole was hilarious. How did you fuck up that many veterans' lives, you fucking B-word?
What's up with you? Why have you been ignoring me? So rude, so very rude.
I don't care. I like the snow, it's just entertaining to watch it. Whoop. Yep. Oh, I got up it too, real good. Got up there pretty good. Oh yeah. Give me some air right here. Flip. Oh, I landed it too. I did a perfect front flip. Oh. Along the rail. Off the rail. It was sick. Watch. Whoa. Love doing front flips and shit. On a motorcycle. It's fun as fuck. Like Travis Pastrana or whatever. Like when he kept falling in that pit over and over again. Oh, did I hit him? I don't know. Yeah, here we go. Whoa. Oh shit, I landed it too somehow. I landed that somehow. How did I land that? I'm just better at video games now than I used to be. It's funny. Whoa. Oh, bailout. Cold, hard stop. On with the armor, and off we go. It's fun as hell. So, what else? Yeah, we did a lot of politics in a row. Let's just go do video games now, I guess. I'm up late tonight because it's Christmas. Fuck it. And I don't have to do anything until noon. So, yeah, I'm pretty much going to, like, just go to bed at 4, I think, and fuck up my schedule again. Chris Hansen. Oh my god. I don't want you to recommend Chris Hansen. Don't recommend the channel. Nicki Minaj went full-blown right-wing, and I can't believe I ever liked Nicki Minaj. Here, wait, never mind. Here's another funny one about Hegseth.
Do you think political allegiance to Trump is a requirement for serving our nation, either in uniform or a civilian in the department?
I don't want to do this anymore. I just did this a ton. I don't want to do this anymore. We'll go listen to video game stuff first. Kick streamer can't stop using the N-word. Oh no.
Oh, what are we doing? This is like a conflation of a...
Bro, you know what this reminds me of? Like, obviously I'm too old for this and you guys are probably too young to remember this shit, but like, back in the day, people, like, this is like a nerd trying to talk to a girl in like a rom-com, and they just go like, oh, you don't know anything about Dungeons and Dragons, like, and then the girl just like walks away. I have to eat. I'm sorry, it's 5 p.m.
An objective good.
So let's get back to Jarvis looking at the clip.
You need to to be the guy. That's where I draw the line. Boosting confidence, changing daily habits. See, instead of playing games, see, this is the type of shit where I'm like, you don't have enough life experience to be giving life advice, but people take your advice because they think, I mean, a lot of times it's just because you're presenting as if you know everything, which is just not true. Me, never gonna see me presenting like I know everything. I don't know shit, dude. I barely know my own name. The only thing I know about this guy is that his claim to fame is that he like had this big glow up via getting face surgery, which is like, I mean, not a big surprise. I feel like a lot of celebrities do this. He's just crowdsourcing this type of thing from his audience.
You have to be in the top percentile to even be looked at with a shred of romance.
This is like loser mentality, right? Just like be charismatic and don't think less of people because of how they look, and you'll get a lot more attention. I don't know, man. It's just like such a shitty way to think about the world, because you're only going to attract equally shallow people.
When you are not attractive, your life is hell. I've experienced it. I'm sure a lot of people have experienced it and are watching this.
What? You will do just fine. You are a moron. You're not fat. You don't look like you're a drug addict. You have a car, you have clean teeth, you have a clean skin. You can absolutely go down to the local bar, buy a girl a drink. She might even be 10 years older than you. You still might have some fun. It doesn't matter. Like, go down to the fucking Applebee's or the fucking Chili's or something, or the local bar or something, and buy a girl a drink. It's not that fucking hard. My thing is if you're that desperate, go looking for fucking, like go looking. My thing is like, my thing now is like, am I ready? I don't know if I'm ready. I have like lots of mental issues, and I'm angry, and I'm losing weight, and I'm on a weight loss journey and stuff, and I've lost 180 pounds. It's just like, am I ready? My thing's am I ready? I think this guy's just like, it's never gonna happen. I think my thing is like, I don't know if I'm ready. Right now, I have to be like, in the last 7 years, I spent 2 years in a mental hospital, and I'm just waiting for more time to pass before that seems like, I want to be able to honestly say, nope, that was 10 years ago. And, and be honest about it. Yeah, that was 10 years ago. I don't have issues like that anymore. Been good since then. The only reason I was in there is they were trying to fuck me over probation, over possession of hard drugs. And yeah, I had an issue with drugs. Who doesn't have an issue with drugs? Hells yeah. It looks awesome out right now. It's like all purple and stormy. You can't really see that well. Been a while since I've crashed in this snow. Snow makes it pretty fun to be on a motorcycle.
Right now.
See, this is how it works. You're like you're like addressing the problem. It's like, you've been aggrieved. The world has done you wrong, and it's because you're ugly, bro.
Yeah,
so you can fix it. All you need is $35,000. Get a number of facial surgeries, and then dubs in the chat.
A male will fix
you
this
can better
problem for
yourself.
you.
You can present yourself better without needing to have a surgery. And I think
Men
there's
will
like
fix
healthy
this
ways
problem
and
for
unhealthy ways
you.
of talking about this stuff. And it's okay to want to present yourself better or to be more attractive or whatever. I also don't think surgery is like a bad
into the
thing
drink.
if someone wants to get it. I just think that advertising it is where I would like draw the line, or treating it as if like, well, I've done this and I'm like a poster boy for this, and that's what's gonna make you attractive to the ladies. Anyway, that's like kind of where it's coming from. There's these clip channels on TikTok that just take these like long meandering 5-hour IRL streams where they're just like walking around and doing nothing or just being annoying in Miami, and there's like one interesting moment worth talking about, and mostly it's just him being a loser. But before we get into that, we have a brief word from today's sponsor, ZocDoc. Have you been putting off going to the doctor because you've had bad experiences in the past? This is a very relatable sentiment because it is hard to find someone to trust with your health. I personally have been frustrated before bouncing from doctor to doctor, depending on who takes my insurance, and trying to find the right vibe for someone who has the right expertise and the right bedside manner. That's where today's sponsor, ZocDoc, comes in. ZocDoc is a free website that allows you to search and compare high-quality in-network doctors and click to instantly book an appointment. ZocDoc isn't just one type of care.
I guess I will eat some stir
I know
fry
one
for
person
dinner.
who is absolutely not on the nice list. Bro, we all know you're doing this for a tax write-off. Classic Slatty Matty. Classic. I'm kidding. I need the sim racing wheel. Yeah. Okay. Maybe I'll pull it up on a YouTube video so you can watch it from afar because your bitch ass ain't.
Antword. Oh no, they were evil.
Meet
were
the
they?
Antword. The weird.
I know this was a constructed band, and I've seen all their other weird work, but I didn't hear that they were bad people. I've never heard that before.
Weirdest, wildest duo to ever come out of South Africa's underground. They didn't just make music, they were chaotic. They were punk, they were art, they were dangerous.
Black cats, white cats, all myself cats.
Yolandi with her baby voice and bleach blonde bangs, Ninja with his face tattoos and cult leader energy. From viral music videos to festival headlines, D'Antwerp built an empire on shock value. They flaunted taboo. They blurred the line between performance and real life until nobody could tell where the act stopped and the truth began. Fans worshipped them for it, the freaky kids who broke every rule. But here's the thing about building your fame on being untouchable and unapologetic. The moment your mask slips, people see what was hiding underneath. Behind the neon lights and edgy art were kids, drugs, cult rituals, and a mountain of rumors no one wanted to believe. When the camera stopped rolling, the same people who looked like rebels on stage looked more like predators at home. The same pair who preached freedom were accused of taking it away from the most vulnerable. So how did D'Antwerp go from underground icons to facing allegations of child exploitation and twisted control?
Really?
In this video, we're going deep into the rise and fall of D'Antwerp, from I Think You're Freaky to voodoo rituals, leaked videos, stolen childhoods, and the cult of personality that protected them for years. This is the story of what happens when your whole image is about having no rules until the world sees what you really did when no one was watching. D'Antwerp is a South African music duo made up of Ninja, whose real name is Watkin Tudor Jones, and Henri Dutoit, who is known more commonly as Yolandi Visser. They started the group in Cape Town back in 2008, mixing loud hip-hop with hard electronic beats to create what they call rap rave. While D'Antwerp became the project that launched them into worldwide fame, Ninja and Yolandi each came from very different beginnings before they joined forces. Ninja spent his early years bouncing through South Africa's underground music scene. He started rapping at just 14, performing in Johannesburg clubs where he stood out for his strange stage presence.
What I want, and go out and get it. It's yours, claim it. Indestructible MC, steady rocking to the beat, 100%.
He jumped between different ideas, trying to find his place in music. He fronted a group called Max Normal, where he mixed hip-hop with a strange corporate twist, a stark contrast to his eventual chaotic image with D'Antwerp. He also formed the horror-inspired Constructus Corporation, blending music with graphic storytelling. Each project added another piece to his style, pushing him closer to the raw, outrageous energy he would unleash with D'Antwerp. Yolandi Visser took a different path. She grew up in Pretoria and first studied fine art. She moved to Cape Town as a young adult and worked as a waitress while moving around the city's small art and punk circles. She met Jones outside a club and he invited her to record vocals for one of his tracks. From there, he taught her how to rap, and that chance moment turned into a creative and personal partnership. By 2006, they had a daughter together named 16. Before they put on the wild outfits and turned themselves into internet legends, they spent years experimenting. They played with strange ideas, built odd stage characters, and learned what made people stop and look. Their whole image is based on South Africa's Zef counterculture, which takes what some see as cheap or trashy style and wears it like a badge of pride. For D'Antwerp, Zef isn't just fashion, it's an attitude that says you don't care what anyone thinks, and you'll push it in their face if you have to. D'Antwoord's music slams hip-hop together with hard-edged electronic beats, a mashup they've branded as rap rave. Their lyrics are loud, crude, and brag about sex and money, flipping between Afrikaans, English, and sometimes Xhosa. Many see it as part joke, part jab, mocking the music industry, gangsta rap cliches, and South Africa's messy racial lines. As crass as their music seems, over the years, D'Antwoord has gathered a huge following, with many referring to their style of music as different, a work of art, and many more praises. You would readily find comments like, "Hooray, welcome back, I believed and waited, I adore you," or, "Nah, this is the next generation of music. I love it. Push the boundaries. Makes you uncomfortable. That is the point. It is true art." Their music truly has drawn many into adoration of the duo, but tagging along with the fame are
I really like
rumors and
Chappie.
confessions that have uncomfortably shown.
I always
that
wondered
there is a
what the
very
end of
bad
Chappie was
and
about.
Admirable side of D'Antwoord, from accusations of homophobia to confessions about how they mistreated their adopted kids, and even assaults against other people. Ninja and Yolandi have been in the spotlight for more than just their very distinct style of music. In no particular order, we're going to take a deep dive into the dark world of Ninja and Yolandi. You might need to brace up, as some of these stories may leave you gobsmacked, because when it comes to boundaries, the duo seem to not know what that means. In 2019, Gianni released an album titled The Line. One song, however, stood out like a sore thumb. The title, The Question. The song was a straight-to-the-point confrontation of Ninja and Yolandi for evils that she claimed had been carried out against her. At the beginning of the video, there was a direct message for D'Antwoord. "I didn't want to do this, but because you publicly lied to your million followers about me, tried to get me removed from Instagram, and then issued me a cease and desist through your lawyer to take down the song, you have forced my hand. I gave you a chance to come clean and apologize for the I guess I was right. The question was finally asked and you choked." Apparently, before the release of the song, Gianni had tried to get closure from Ninja regarding the events that transpired between them, and her not-so-memorable encounter with the group. But she was met with nonchalance and a lot of disrespect. So she spoke out the one way she knew how best to, through music. What stood out in the videography of this particular track was its unconventional nature. Instead of backup dancers or extras on set, it was just Gianni and a whole lot of messages, receipts about her interactions with Ninja via text, and some of her own anger being poured out.
You say fucking because I look like your daughter. You're disgusting.
First off, let's backtrack a bit. What happened between D'Antwoord and Gianni that prompted the release of this song? Gianni's story begins like so many do, as a fan pulled into the orbit of her idols. At 19, she and her friends saw D'Antwoord as untouchable icons of rebellion, the strange, edgy band that gave misfits something raw to hold on to. They weren't just music in Australia back then, they were a marker of underground culture.
Australia.
What kind of
South
Diane
Africa
fan were you coming up? Like, were you somebody who they were like the band for you for a period of time?
Okay. So,
Because I could see the influence. I'm not super educated about them, but I would assume that they were a pretty big influence.
yeah, in Australia, man, 2013, they were like the hot shit. They were like the edgy shit. You know, they were
Definitely edgy.
My friends loved them. I loved them. Like, they were like 2012, 2013 Manson. You know what I mean? Like that.
Okay.
That's the pop culture in Australia. I don't think they were as big in the States. I don't think they've ever been as big in the States as they have been in other places. Rap,
No, we were into
teenage girls,
D'Antwoord. I fucking
like,
loved
the
D'Antwoord.
whole thing that they go for
Just
is
as much
to
as you
appeal and really like vibe with like young people. I haven't listened to anything that D'Antwoord has made since Donkey Mug, the album that they worked on when I was in the mix.
So what age were you when you got interested in them?
D'Antwoord may not have been so big in the US, but they had a good following in Australia. There's this saying or warning that you should never meet your idols in person, probably
Yeah.
because they may turn out to be way different from what you ever imagined. Well, for Gianni, that became her reality. Admiration crossed into something darker when Yolandi reached out to her directly.
So you become a Diane fan, and then how do you actually start communicating with the band?
Yolandi hit me up on Instagram, I put all this shit in my like receipt song that I put out on YouTube, the question. Basically, if you ask these strange cunts, they'll tell you that I just like slid into Ninja's DMs and started like sending him booby pics. But that isn't the case. And you shouldn't tell lies, kids, and this is why. So Yolandi, it was before DMs existed, and she like messaged me, and I remember being like, what the like, she's like a pop culture queen. Why is she messaging my dumbass from Brisbane, Australia? You know, like I had never met a celebrity before. I had not hung out with any like, even like relevant artists in the Australian music scene or anything like that. It was like a different world. And
it would be useful to state that this interview happened after she released the song and D'Antwoord had also responded to it. Apparently, while trying to clear the air, Ninja had stated that Gianni reached out to him first on Instagram. But she clearly states that it wasn't the case, and with good reason. DMs did not exist as at the time communication started between them, and she also has the evidence to show. Yolandi initiated contact with her after Ninja showed her Gianni's Tumblr page. Not wanting to be the first to reach out, he delegated the responsibility to Yolandi for some reason. This wasn't a case of her chasing clout. For someone who had never met a celebrity before, it felt surreal.
I was like 19 or 20-year-old girl getting messaged by a person that you consider to be like ridiculously famous and influential.
Hell yeah, dude. Like I was like, to put it in, I hate saying their stage names, but I'll do it to like the point of this. Ninja was like, you're not like a psycho fan, you're like a cool fan. I guess that was like his way of like stroking my ego and making me feel like stuff, dude. So they asked for my email. Yolandi's like, we must talk. Like, you're like so cool. And like within the first email that she sends to me, she's like, Ninja showed me your bloggy, like it's so cool. When I'm
They probably do this every
I wanna
town.
smoke with you, it's gonna be great. I'm just like, oh my god, like some star wants to come to Australia and smoke with me, like that's.
Eventually, after Yolandi had established contact, Ninja followed up. For a duo that rose to the top together, there is a subtle power dynamic here that just can't be missed. And it also plays out in another horrible event we'll get to in a bit. Ninja is the big boss, and Yolandi is the puppet that does her master's bidding.
He jumps on my inbox like a rat off a rope, and he's like, ooh, my little sister, she like sent you some mail, like calling her his little sister.
He referred to Yolandi as his little sister, which is odd seeing that they had a daughter together. As much as people get separated and relationships end, there really is nobody who would refer to someone they once had a physical relationship with as their little sister or little brother. Honestly, that should have been all the red flags Gianni needed to see, but being starstruck is no easy thing to shake off. The contact turned into constant attention. Ninja didn't just message once or twice, he flooded her with messages every day, calling her his witch, his muse.
He was like emailing me like 5 or 6 times a day, like from day one. I looked into it, and it's called love bombing. And I say Google that because...
For someone who used his partner to initiate contact, Ninja started showing his true intent too fast and, honestly, with a disturbing level of intensity. He knew his position in this budding relationship. He was the star, and she was the fan who was amazed at the fact that her music hero had contacted her. She admits the fact that she did not have the time to process all of it.
I felt like I was like knocked off my feet from like start to finish. Like I never got a chance to like get perspective. All my friends around me were like young and dumb and fans as well, so everyone was just like, wow. I didn't have any adults or anything in my life that were like, let's like take a step back and let's like have a talk about this, like what's going on. Everyone was just like, so I don't know, like everyone's so quick to judge, like, ooh, the red flags, like that, but think about like your favorite band, you know, like, and imagine like that just out of obscurity, like they climb out of a poster on your wall and they're like, hey Adam, hey 20-year-old Adam, I want to talk to you, and you're just like it was like that, and it was intense, and I never got a second. Like,
Each line made her feel chosen and special. All of it built a trap she couldn't see until it snapped shut. The opening lyrics to her song, The Question, also point to the fact that Ninja really buttered her up, but it was all a plan of his. Here are a couple of screenshots from their conversations, and they're honestly very disturbing. These are messages from a grown man with a daughter at the time to a girl who was only 19 years old. Here he talks about his sexual desires and how he wants to be with her. It clearly starts out as a one-sided thing, but he tries to get her into the mood of all the craziness he was bringing, telling her not to be shy with him, clearly using his position to manipulate her. Notice how she says, "You are completely in control, Ninja. I'm your own little doll." That definitely was what he wanted, that feeling of domination. The next question was even more disturbing. Do you like it that I'm actually your dad? Honestly, Ninja gave her enough reasons to cut communication and run very fast, but she didn't, and he very well knew she wouldn't. In her song, she also mentioned something similar to this pedophilic behavior. You said you picked me because I looked like your daughter, 16. You're disgusting. Pedophile. What would you do if you were adopted and you found out that I got a chick pregnant when I was 17 or something? And then you find out I'm actually your dad. Like you find out you were actually adopted. What would you do? Ninja seems to have an obsession with this inappropriate father-daughter relationship. He started right off the bat, preparing Gianni for his eventual plans for her. He kept bombarding her with messages like this, hoping to get some lewd satisfaction from their interaction. Initially, the plan was for Ninja to link up with Gianni during one of his tours in Australia, but in the light of a very questionable circumstance, plans changed and Gianni was made to fly to South Africa to meet him. As for the questionable circumstance, well, Gianni claimed to have had her drink spiked by her boss at the time, who also doubled as her housemate. While under the influence of whatever her drink was laced with, she was communicating with Ninja. By the next morning, Ninja let her know they already agreed that she would fly all the way to South Africa. Here is the part where the whole thing seemed weird. He told her he had also spoken to her boss and made arrangements. The same night her drink was spiked, Ninja switched the conversation from him visiting to her doing the traveling. And very conveniently, he already had a conversation with her boss, the same person that spiked her drink. What are the odds? Colluding with her boss to get her to travel to him, the lengths this guy went to just to abuse someone that could easily have been his daughter, very despicable. Gianni also shared a screenshot of an email Ninja sent to his management, telling them to help speed up her passport process and book all necessary flights needed to get her to him. It's very obvious just how desperate Ninja was to get her. When they flew her out to South Africa, the dream turned into a nightmare. In a screenshot, she details the horrible experience she had while in the company of Ninja. During my time in Africa, Watkin took me out to an isolated location known as the Wilderness. I had no SIM card or way of contacting the outside world. We took rooms together and Watkin quickly became manic and out of control. Ninja had planned it all out. Of all the places to take a first-time guest to in South Africa, he took her to somewhere
shrooms with a
secluded
celebrity
where it
the
was
first
just the two
time
of
you meet them.
with the intention of getting her high.
Sounds like a
Without
rape
reading the
story.
rest of the story, anyone can guess where this is heading to, but let's go ahead. She continues saying, "We returned to our accommodation where he started speaking in tongues and proceeded to have me. I froze in fear as he ravaged me and began to snarl and growl like a demon. He strangled me and I was afraid that he could kill me. He climaxed and came inside me, then passed out. As expected, the physical assault. From all the chats they had before her visit to South Africa, one thing was clear. The push for physical intimacy was sponsored by just one person, Ninja. He always made it look like it was something they would both love, something that would be fun for both parties. But all the while he was out to seek his own terrible pleasure. It is no surprise that it all ended up being an abuse, a mental damage that Gianni had to live with.
And our friendship, and then things went out of hand, because I'm pretty sure that still completely qualifies as. But I mean, I guess I understand how you.
I come from like a real rough upbringing, like bad happens to people all the time, you know, so it's just like hearing, because I never like processed it in that way, you know, and then like hearing like I've told people what's happened, and that's like the feedback that I've gotten, and that's the word that keeps on being used, and I'm just like kind of taken aback by it. you know, like, I guess, yeah, he strangled the out of me and me like a possessed demon until he came. And I guess, like, really nice assault we were having, like, I don't know, it just, yeah, like I said, it melts my brain a bit, even just, like, hearing that word. I don't kind of, like, in my head, I'm like, I don't get, you know.
Nothing about this was spontaneous. It was all premeditated, carried out by a sick individual. If what he had in mind was mutual pleasure, things definitely could and should have played out differently. Gianni missed all the red flags and other bright-colored warning signs, and the result of it was something that could not be undone. Ninja would eventually wake up and feign ignorance of all that happened, speaking in a baby voice as described by Gianni. From that point on, the relationship between the two took a nosedive. Gianni was broken and traumatized, but Ninja was still not satisfied. He would go on to send her messages even after she returned to Australia. Gianni finally understood where she stood and what she thought would be a good relationship, and she stopped responding to him. Like any other troubled, ego-driven
I am
person,
reminded
Ninja
of a
decided to act out like a
particular
child. He
video
shared
from
explicit
10
pictures.
years ago. I believe it was Marilyn Manson, Johnny Depp, and Ninja. And they're all, it's like all three of them faced charges within 5 years. Singing Beautiful People, because it was like this brag, essentially. There it is. Marilyn Manson featuring Johnny Depp and Ninja doing The Beautiful People live at the Roxy in 2014. It was 11 years ago. And you can see it. It's like their whole, you know, it's like they had a clique. I think these weird industry people, I think they've got weird issues and cliques and stuff, and they've got problems, and I think and this is some of it. And I think Johnny Depp came up for a trial, and I think Marilyn Manson got canceled, and I think Ninja's getting canceled. And
Pictures of Gianni carrying out activities on him to a
this
friend
guy
of
was
his,
good.
and
Pie
blind
Wackett,
copied her in
Pie Wackett, whatever that means. Pie Wackett 1. Jesus Christ.
the email, almost like he was trying to make a statement that he still had dirt on her or
charge my
something.
headphones now.
Gianni also spoke about this in her diss track.
No, he can just
You shared those
pay money
photos
to
while on set with
harass her or
Blomkamp,
sue her,
emailed them to Copley.
threaten
That
her
was a
or
crime.
intimidate her.
Ex-offending get locked up. Apparently Ninja shared those pictures with other people besides Copley, whom he sent the email to. He also went as far as building an entire website to humiliate her and branded her as a satanic institute for millions to see. The lineup of events and Ninja's unwillingness to accept his fault in all of this led to the release of the diss track by Gianni. Yet again, her brazenness was met with a pushback from the Antwoord. Yolani took to her Instagram account.
Let's go look at her diss track. I will pause the she's like an ICP girl. Look at her bite their style, though. She's like biting their style so bad. Okay, so the question. We'll watch this because it's controversial, but I will pause the. Okay, I'm pausing after we finish the Gianni video. It's quite good. Gianni, the question, it was good. She is good. She is talented.
To talk about the accusation, and she summarized all of it as an attempt at clout chasing. Interestingly, though, something Yolandi mentioned in her Instagram post contrasts with the text Ninja exchanged with Gianni. She clearly mocked Gianni's claim of a satanic ritual, saying, "She also said I captured her and put her in a satanic ritual. Just for the record, me and Ninja are Buddhists. We practice yoga, meditate, and are vegetarian." But in Gianni's conversations with Ninja, he leans very heavily to the occult and demonic end of things. So it's one of two things. Either Yolandi lied about that fact, or Ninja actually did Gianni just to have his way with her, which is an even sicker possibility. Besides the Instagram post, Gianni claimed that DeAntwoord tried to silence her music, both legally through a cease and desist order, and also with their connections helping to take her song off platforms. Speaking up wasn't about fame, it was about dragging the truth into daylight. For Gianni, the threats, the hate, the censorship were nothing compared to staying silent.
But then I see her talking to like Adam No Jumper and all this stupid shit. I get it, but it's also done really badly. I don't want any more 7 Days to Die content. Don't recommend this channel anymore.
Rolling for Jesus, rolling as a youngster, wondering if you see this young black male. Crack sales got me 3 strikes. Living in jail, this is hell in the me. God wonder when we all pass. Anybody listen? Every time I see me shawty, everybody's listen.
Wow. It's still DMCA. Maybe I gotta be careful.
The boomers inherited from what has been known as, and come to be known as, the greatest generation, my parents' generation, because they went through the Depression and they wore and they sacrificed to make America really a better place. They created an America that had the largest middle class that the world had ever seen. Now, what did we, the baby boomers, do with that? By the late 1970s, the median wage in the United States stagnated. Adjusted for inflation, most Americans really didn't see any improvement, even though they were working hard, even though they were playing by the rules, even though they were doing everything they were told to do. The social contract had been, if you do that, you will do better, and your children will do better. If companies do better, you're...
Okay, guys, I don't want to be up all night, and I know I will be. And then I'll have to flip my schedule again. So, I mean, I don't know. What time was I up today? I don't know. I think it's all the same. I think I either go to bed and I wait to fall asleep, or I just wait. You know. So I guess I'll just watch. I'll just.
Companies will do better.
I'll keep going, I guess.
What we are living with now, Donald Trump, is in many respects the consequence and the final sort of result of those years in which we took democracy for granted. We allowed big money to take over. We allowed all of that wealth and income to go to the top and to big corporations and who monopolized the economy. We allowed labor unions to basically be busted by big corporations, to the point where, well, only 6% of American workers are now unionized. In other words, we, the baby boomers, although we did a lot of good things, we took for granted what we were given, the democracy, the institutions of our democracy. The boomers
2,900 attorneys have quit the Department of Justice or were fired during the first 10 months of this year. I believe a majority of that number were DOJ lawyers who quit. Think about that number as well. How many FBI agents quit or fired as well? A massive number there. We're seeing overall about triple or quadruple the number of people leaving the DOJ and FBI, either quitting or firing in any specific year, let alone term at this point. Reuters was doing an analysis of those records, and it's having a devastating impact on cases as well. a federal magistrate
I
judge
missed
in
him.
Washington, D.C., analyzed the dismissals of felony cases that have been brought by the DOJ in Washington, D.C., for example, over the past, I think like 60 or 90 days or so as well. And it was like basically like 20% of the cases resulted in dismissals versus if you looked at a historical perspective, it was less than like 0.5% of cases that are filed ultimately get dismissed by the DOJ dismissing their own cases. And there's one magistrate judge, and we've been seeing other magistrate judges and federal judges just going through the history of these cases. I'm giving you DC. I'll talk about a case in LA, for example, as well, where a case will be filed, dismissed without prejudice, refiled, dismissed without prejudice, refiled, dismissed with prejudice, because the moment the DOJ meets resistance, it doesn't have the staffing, number one. It often is bringing cases the same way, you know, obviously the Comey case and the Letitia James case are high-profile examples of the malfeasance and missteps. By the way, we haven't talked about those in a while, right?
Yeah.
With this DOJ, you know, unable to secure an indictment of James after trying two more times, one in Norfolk and one in Alexandria. And we haven't even heard, you know, anything about Comey. But it's not just like those high-profile cases, right? This is happening writ large in D.C., in Virginia, in California, in a case recently in L.A., where a protester was charged with very serious crimes on tape, you know, and the jury's like, nah, we just don't trust you, DOJ. You know, in addition to the people leaving
Wow.
the DOJ and quitting, in addition to the fact that the leaders of the specific offices, the United States attorneys who lead the offices in different districts, that they're incompetent, the people who know what they're doing have left the office. Also, people in this country perceive the DOJ as being a kind of an illegitimate entity at this point. And it's a sad thing for a once proud entity. People don't trust anything. I mean, people are obviously following, for example, the Epstein files and the cover-up there. So just imagine.
Why would
you're
you pull out a
defense
gun?
lawyer, where in your closing, you don't even have to invoke, say, Epstein, because you'll probably get an objection that it may not have anything to do with your case unless it's a sex trafficking case. But imagine you're giving a closing argument to the jury that's so familiar with the Epstein cover-up and all of these missteps and every cover-up that this DOJ and FBI is engaged in right now, right? And you just go to the, you know, maybe in your voir dire when you're picking a jury, you'll find out that, you know, the jury doesn't really plant a seed, that they don't really trust this DOJ. Then in your closing, you can say, look, this is a weaponized DOJ that's going after my client. They obviously have a political agenda in everything they do. They don't like my client because fill in the blank, X, Y, and Z. My client's in this industry, that industry. And Donald Trump's out there basically saying he hates everybody unless you bribe him, unless you give him money, unless you give him a quid pro quo.
Yep.
People get that. And there's a way to message that also in cases that resonate with juries, or even if it's a good case. The people they're not getting their conviction rate. Let's bring in Harry Little from the Talking Feds Substack, Talking Feds podcast, and Talking Feds YouTube. And Harry, it's also the underlying prosecutions themselves, as the Trump regime has turned all of its resources to like go after people who have been in this country for like decades and pulling people off of roofs, like the roofers and farmers, and like, I don't know, they're spending their resources. They are not pursuing drug trafficking, sex trafficking, child trafficking, espionage, public integrity. They don't even know what public integrity means anymore over there. You know, financial fraud cases. And then when they do one, like they did an antitrust criminal case against a concert ticketing company, and then the guy he's friends with Kushner, and then right after they charge and build up the file, Trump pardons the guy, you know, and we're seeing that over and over again. So you were a former United States attorney in Pennsylvania. You were a former top Justice Department official. They're cooked, huh? This DOJ is cooked. What do you make of it?
It's, as you're saying, starting with 3 to 4 times as many departures, but that really understates the overall impact for many of the reasons you're saying, and then more, Ben. So let me tell you, you're right, and thanks for mentioning my experience both at Maine Justice and in U.S. Attorney's offices. And the way it works, the way it always has worked, is there's a really thin cadre of 2 or 3 or 6 or whatever real go-to people in the individual offices and at Maine Justice, the real sort of repository of institutional information who knows what's going on. And they have been disproportionately forced out. So, typically the 1/3 that it would be people who've done their 5 or 6 years and go into private practice, say. But some people stay and become the real and want to be institutional knowledge of the place and are hugely relied on. So problem one that means this is all understated is those people are disproportionately left among the people who have departed the DOJ. Problem two is a lot of similar people have just been warehoused purposely by this administration to really useless kind of outposts. For instance, maybe they are dealing with the new initiative in the Civil Rights Division about universities pursuing diversity, whatever. They are out of the
whatever.
Purposely out of the action.
What was that?
The third point, the people who remain, you have, whispers that come out again and again. They're not doing anything, either because they're not being given anything to do because no one trusts them, or some of the cases are so completely antithetical to why they came to the department that they're.
Yeah, it was interesting, but now I want to get off this. Why Scandinavians stay warm to 30? Why Scandinavian captains stay warm to 30 hours?
There is something fundamentally broken in the way we build today. In 1872, a survey was conducted on the Borgen Stave Church, a traditional wooden structure in Norway during one of the harshest winters in decades. Outside, the mercury had plunged to minus 31 degrees Fahrenheit. Snow lay several feet deep. The wind howled through the valley with enough force to shred a modern expedition tent. Yet inside this wooden church, built in 1180, with no HVAC
system, it's
fiberglass insulation and no double-paned windows, the temperature held steady 46 degrees Fahrenheit. There was no fire burning, no external energy source.
Just stays 50.
The structure itself, built from solid wood using methods we've largely abandoned, kept the temperature stable. Compare that to a modern American single-family home. Up the heat when it's 14 degrees Fahrenheit outside. Within 6 hours, your indoor temperature drops below freezing. After 12 hours, your pipes burst. After 24 hours, the house is uninhabitable. What did builders 800 years ago know that we have forgotten? In the mountainous regions of Scandinavia, hundreds of log cabins built between the 13th and 17th centuries are still standing.
Really?
These structures have survived for centuries. They've endured winters that would rot a modern stick-built house in weeks, and they achieved this with 3 things that are completely ignored in our modern international building code: thermal mass, absolute airtightness, and a heating strategy based not on constant energy consumption, but on strategic heat storage. These 3 principles worked as a complete system. No single trick, no miracle product. Just a physically sound concept that worked with nature, not against it. Today, we build against physics. We try to fight the cold with brute force energy, and we are losing. Before we dive deeper, drop a comment below. Have you ever dealt with a grid failure or blackout?
Yeah, one of the nice things about my house is it's fairly airtight. I think there's like a hole that we drilled that I'd never plugged, I suppose, over here. Like, even that, I think that's like the only hole in the house. My house is airtight. It's not airtight, but it's close to it, and it really does keep the warmth in.
An hour, 6 hours, or could you see your breath after 30 minutes?
I love
Let
my
us know,
home.
because what you're about to learn.
I'm sure eventually I'll get sick of it, but right now I fucking love my home. I love my home so much. I'm so happy to be here.
The team at the Norwegian University of Science and Technology ran an experiment. They took two identical structures, both roughly 430 square feet. The first was a reconstructed medieval log cabin built to 14th century specs. Solid logs, 12 inches in diameter, hand-hewn, joined with tongue and groove. No modern insulation, vapor barrier, no pink fiberglass. The second was a modern prefabricated house, built to current stringent energy standards. Double insulation, R value of 25, vapor barriers, triple glazed windows. On paper, the modern house was miles ahead of the medieval one. Both were placed in the same valley. Outside temperature, minus 18 degrees Fahrenheit. Both were heated to a comfortable 68 degrees. Then they cut the power. The modern house plummeted to 36 degrees Fahrenheit within 9 hours. The log cabin, after 48 hours, the inside temperature was still 54 degrees.
Wow.
After 72 hours, 3 full days without heat, it was still sitting at 43 degrees, well above freezing. The modern house had become a life-threatening icebox, while the medieval cabin remained survivable. Why? A modern civil engineer might say that's impossible. The R value of the log cabin is only around 10. The modern house boasts an R 25.
Ah, I got it.
Higher R value
Yeah,
means
I had a
better
feeling.
insulation, so the modern house should win.
I love this mission.
But R value only measures heat transfer in a steady state. It completely ignores thermal mass. And
Now I do
thermal
the exact
mass is
same
the
run
game
again, but at
changer.
least this one's fun.
A 12-inch thick log wall of old-growth pine weighs about 80 pounds per linear foot. Wood has a high specific heat capacity, meaning it can bank enormous amounts of energy. When the cabin is heated, the wood absorbs that heat deep into its core. When the heat source stops, the wood slowly releases it back over hours and days. The modern house? The walls are a sandwich of 1/2 inch drywall, a plastic vapor barrier, fiberglass batting, and thin vinyl or wood siding. The whole assembly weighs maybe 10 pounds per linear foot. There is zero mass to store heat. The insulation slows down the heat loss, but it stores nothing. As soon as the furnace quits, the heat in the air bleeds out through tiny leaks and thermal bridges. And because modern stick framing has no thermal mass, there is no reservoir to recharge the room. Medieval builders understood this instinctively. They harvested trees that were at least 80 to 100 years old. Trees grow slowly in the frozen north. The growth rings are incredibly tight, often over 100 rings per inch. This makes the wood insanely dense and heavy. 1 cubic foot of old-growth pine weighs over 37 pounds. Modern plantation pine may be 28 pounds. That density is crucial. More mass means more storage. More storage means a longer thermal lag. It takes 12 to 18 hours for the outside coal to penetrate a 12-inch dense log wall. By then you've likely rebuilt your fire. The cabin acts like a thermal battery, smoothing out the temperature spikes. But mass alone isn't enough. You need absolute airtightness. Here lies the second secret. Despite all our Tyvek wraps and flashing tapes, modern homes leak like sieves. Blower door tests show that the average modern home has a cumulative leak equivalent to leaving a 20 by 20 inch window wide open. That is not an exaggeration. Add up every gap around your outlets, baseboards and windows, and that's the hole you're heating. When it's 5 below zero, cold air is pouring through that hole 24/7. Your furnace isn't fighting the walls, it's fighting an invisible open window. The log cabins didn't have this issue. The logs were joined using a scribe fit technique. Each log was custom cut to mirror the shape of the one below it. This took weeks. A single room could take months to frame. But the result was a wall with virtually zero airflow. Then came the chinking. The gaps were packed with sphagnum moss from the bogs. This moss can absorb 20 times its weight in water. When dried and compressed, it expands into every microscopic crevice. Over that, they apply the daub of clay mixed with animal hair, usually sheep or goat. The clay dries hard, creating an airtight seal, while the hair acts like rebar to prevent cracking. It's a breathable system. Vapor can escape, but drafts cannot enter. When researchers test these 600-year-old cabins today, many meet or exceed modern passive house airtightness standards. A hut built with an axe and moss is tighter than a suburban home built with high-tech composites. The third element is the heating strategy. This is where it gets interesting. We tend to think of old cabins having open fireplaces, but open fireplaces are thermal disasters. They suck massive amounts of warm indoor air and blast it up the chimney. A roaring open fire can actually make a house colder by creating negative pressure. Instead, the Scandinavians used masonry heaters, known as kakkelovn, or soapstone stoves. These are massive units built of stone or brick weighing several tons. You burn a hot, fast fire once or twice a day. The combustion is complete and clean. But instead of the exhaust shooting straight out, it winds through a labyrinth of channels inside the stone mass.
Really?
The gas transfers its heat to the stone before it ever reaches the chimney. By the time the smoke exits, it's barely warm. All that energy is trapped in the stone. This stone mass then radiates heat gently for 12 to 18 hours. The surface stays at around 140 to 175 degrees Fahrenheit. Hot enough to feel good, but safe to touch. You can lean against it. You can sleep on it.
Really?
The heat is radiant, meaning it warms objects and people, not just the air. Radiant heat creates comfort at lower air temperatures. You can feel cozy in 60-degree air if you are near a 160-degree stone wall. A modern forced air system has to pump the air to 72 degrees to give you the same feeling. That is a massive waste of energy. A Finnish study from 2003 reconstructed a traditional smoke room,
250
early
grand
cabin style, and tested it at
4.8.
minus 13 degrees Fahrenheit. A single 2-hour fire using about 45 pounds of wood kept the interior above 59 degrees for over 16 hours. The fuel consumption was about 1/10 of what a modern home with an oil furnace would burn in the same period. And that's without modern insulation. Just thermal mass, air tightness, and radiant heat. Interior design played a huge role too. Scandinavian cabins didn't do open concept. Modern open floor plans are a nightmare for efficiency. Warm air rises and gets trapped in vaulted ceilings while your feet freeze. Medieval cabins had low ceilings, often just 6.5 feet high. Rooms were small and compartmented by doors. This kept the heat where the people were. The central room for cooking and working was the warmest. Bedrooms were cooler, but that didn't matter because you slept under heavy wool and furs. This thermal zoning slashed heating needs. There was no need to keep the guest room at 70 degrees. We have completely forgotten this logic in our quest for massive great rooms. Then there's the foundation. Modern US homes are often built on slab-on-grade concrete. Concrete is a thermal bridge. It sucks heat out of your house and dumps it into the frozen ground. Scandinavian cabins stood on stone piers that lifted the wood off the dirt. This created an air gap that acted as insulation. The floors were thick planks, often double layered with sawdust or moss packed in between. This broke the thermal bridge. No heat bled into the earth. Every detail was designed to hoard heat. Why did we stop building this way? 3 reasons: speed, cost, and cheap oil. After World War II, we needed millions of houses, fast. Scribing logs and hand-cutting joints took too long. Stick framing with 2x4s and plywood took weeks, not months. Labour was expensive, but materials needed to be cheap. Thin walls with batting were cheaper than solid timber. And then the energy boom. In the 50s and 60s, oil and gas were dirt cheap. Who cared if a house was inefficient? You just cranked the thermostat. We stopped building for resilience and started building for low upfront cost. We built houses that are on life support, dependent on a constant drip of electricity and gas. Cut the line, and they die. But energy isn't cheap anymore. The grid is becoming unstable, and people are realizing their expensive homes are fragile. In Europe, specifically Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, there is a massive movement back to solid wood construction, mass timber. It's not nostalgia, it's physics. Architects are combining traditional log principles with modern tech, thick cross-laminated timber, CLT, walls, masonry heaters, and smart compact layouts. They are seeing massive drops in energy use. A well-built solid wood home can run on a third of the energy of a conventional build. And if the power goes out, it stays livable for days. Science backs this up. A 2018 study by the University of Innsbruck tracked solid wood houses versus conventional builds over 5 years. The wood homes use 40% less heating energy in winter. In summer, they didn't even need AC because the thermal mass buffered the heat. Residents reported fewer drafts and a healthier environment. Wood naturally regulates humidity, absorbing moisture when it's damp and releasing it when it's dry. No mold, no dry air, no noisy humidifiers. And there is one more thing we rarely talk about: durability. A modern house starts dying the day it's finished. Vapor barriers rip, fiberglass settles, studs rot when water gets behind the siding. After 30 years, you're looking at major renovations. Scandinavian log cabins have stood for 600 years. As the wood settles in the first few years, the joints actually get tighter. A 50-year-old log home is often more efficient than a brand new one. It's an asset that appreciates in function, whereas modern builds depreciate immediately. If you are looking to build or renovate a home today that is resilient, efficient, and built to last, steal these principles. You don't have to live in a medieval hut, but you can use thermal mass. Look into mass timber or solid log construction. If you can't do solid wood walls, integrate stone mass inside. A masonry heater or a heavy stone fireplace surround can act as your thermal battery. Focus on air tightness, pay for a professional blower door test, and seal every leak. That is worth more than adding another layer of insulation. Design for compactness. Skip the cathedral ceilings if you care about efficiency. Lower ceilings and closable rooms keep the heat where you are. Use thermal zoning. Heat the living space. Let the bedrooms stay cool. And think long term. A house that costs $50,000 more to build but saves you $100,000 in utilities and maintenance over 30 years is the smarter buy. Modern codes obsess over R value and upfront cost. They completely ignore resilience and life cycle value. The Scandinavian farmer in his 14th century cabin wasn't primitive. He was a master of applied physics. He knew that heat needs mass. He knew air leakage is the enemy, not the cold itself.
They had a lot more time to think about that stuff. They weren't interneting.
He knew that working with nature beats fighting it with a furnace. We traded that wisdom for speed and cheap fossil fuels. Now that energy is expensive and the weather is getting wilder, we are paying the tab. If you found this valuable, hit that like button and subscribe.
I did, I found it
We
valuable.
are digging up the buried knowledge that the modern construction industry would rather you
Yeah.
forget. The medieval log cabin wasn't an accident. It was the result of centuries of trial and error. The structures that failed the winters were abandoned. The ones that worked were copied. What remained was a system so robust it got families through minus 30-degree winters with zero electricity and zero gas. These people worked 12 hours a day, built nations, and raised families. They weren't weak. They were strong because their homes sheltered them instead of draining their bank accounts. The secret wasn't lost. It was just buried under marketing and short-term thinking. Every time you build with thermal mass, seal your air leaks, and use radiant heat, you are bringing that wisdom back. Wisdom that kept people warm.
Something almost no one has been talking about is who was actually the one going and getting these girls and boys, and I think I found one of the most likely answers to that question. Of the 4 Epstein women, there is one that stands out above and beyond to me at this moment, and that is Nadia Marcinko. Most aren't going to recognize that name. I didn't at first either, because suspiciously, in my over 2 hours of Epstein content, not a single time in any of my research did her name or image pop up organically. And yet she is a through line throughout this entire story. Her photo is splattered across a bunch of random images tied to the Epstein case, and much like Epstein's personal history, initially she can be somewhat difficult to pin down. She has 3 main names as well as a bunch of nicknames, but she's most commonly known as Nadia Marcinko or Nadia Marcinkova. If you were to look up that name right now, you'd be met with countless headlines, all repeating essentially the same thing. You'll be notified that she's a pilot or a former Epstein slave, maybe both, or one of the chief recruiters for little boys and girls. It's kind of a mixed bag of what you'll get told. But strangely, she's not one of the things above, she's all of the above. In theory, that is. We don't know much about her life history, but we do know that she was born in Slovakia in 1986, a country that has gone by over half a dozen different names since the beginning of the last century, but there is a chance this is merely a cover story, because we aren't even sure how old Nadia is, if we're being honest, and Epstein tells a different story about how Nadia came to be in his entourage. One of Epstein's
that guy got ran
tells us
over.
that while being given the Epstein treatment, he stated that he purchased Nadia Marcinko from her father to be his Yugoslavian slave. That's right, purchased from old Daddy-O. Now that's kind of a hard thing to pin down exactly who said this. I've seen several sources of that information, and it's just been repeated by so many others over time that by proxy of how many people have said it, it's become somewhat of a fact. Although we aren't totally certain it's actually how Epstein came to have Nadia. But the other main reason people think this is because Nadia herself has the reputation of being a victim. And that would be because she stated she was, or more so her legal team when the Epstein case began heating up, stated that she was. And so far, based on how little we actually know about her, I think it's fair to doubt whether or not she's a victim, and as we continue, that's going to become even more questionable. However, let's say she was a victim, it definitely didn't last very long, because she clearly moved from victim to victimizer very quickly, so quickly you think this was a 300-meter dash. In the early 2000s, we have reports from young girls that Nadia was at Epstein's properties, forcing them to engage in disgusting acts with Epstein. Despite having been purchased in 2001 by Jeffrey, therefore only 2 and change years after she became his quote-unquote slave, she was already deep into violently abusing kids, which is a little too suspicious for my taste. We also have it on good authority, based on victim testimonies, that Nadia was raping these children herself. And one specific testimony disgustingly describes how a 16-year-old was forced to perform sexual acts with Nadia to, quote, completion, at which point Epstein began raping her violently, holding her face down as she screamed for help and begged for it to stop. Eventually, he did stop, said sorry, and bought her a car to use. And this girl had come to Epstein's Palm Beach property after being lured to the home under the pretense of giving massages, which, come on people, let's raise our daughters better than falling for that one. And this report about what Nadia was up to came to light in 2004, 2005, and other victim testimonies report them being abused by Nadia in 2005, meaning at most Nadia was a late-stage teenager when this was all happening. And we are also aware that the flight manifests, or really the portions of said flight manifest that we've been given, going all the way back to 2003, note Nadia as both a passenger and crew, that's what the NM means, which she wouldn't be getting listed as if she were a child slave. If or how she went from slave to enslaver is up to you, but this Nadia history lesson is going to make progressively less sense as we continue from here on out. We are aware that as early as the first softball investigation and inquiry done by the Palm Beach Police Department in 2008, that Nadia appeared to be living at Epstein's Palm Beach home, treating it like her own. She showed up on hidden cameras that were later seized, appears in dozens of victim and helper testimonies, and was even ordering packages from Armani Exchange to the house. And yet Nadia was never arrested and never interrogated. The police did ask her some questions, and she has a deposition on record. However, she was never charged with a single thing, despite a countless and growing number of little girls reporting her as having helped Epstein acquire and them, and that Nadia herself had them, including violently with objects, according to one little girl's testimony. And with that in mind, it seems like Epstein and Nadia deserved joining zappy chairs, but no. In fact, for no apparent reason, Nadia not only didn't get charged, the serial rapist and trafficker also got immunity from all past, present, and future charges when Epstein got his joke sentence in 2008. The one where Alex Acosta, in charge of prosecuting Epstein, gave him a sweetheart deal and stated that he, as the Attorney General, one of the highest positions in the land, was told to back off because Epstein was, quote, intelligence, which Acosta, like a good little spook, did. And now 6 years later, in a new set of documents, we find that Alex Acosta is denying having ever said that, despite everyone and their mom reporting otherwise. Just making sure we're all on the same page, because Nadia also got this splendid deal, and the immunity came without even giving a single bit of valuable information, swearing to testify, or leaving her old life as a Didyist behind. In fact, this alleged slave was so loyal to Epstein that she pled the fifth anywhere from 42 to 90 separate times when being deposed. We would know for certain if we actually possessed the full deposition, and that document which contains the deposition is interesting because despite being over 2,000 pages long, including eyewitness testimonies, the depositions of Dees Lane and other people who were related to the incident, and obviously Nadia, it would appear that when you get to Nadia's section, you notice that a lot of chunks are missing, and it doesn't seem like we actually get the full thing, which that can't be right, just some food for thought. But it is because of that I'm not really able to tell you exactly how many times she pled the fifth. We just know that it was a lot, and for basically every question except for what's her name. And as an aside, if there are any lawyers watching this video right now, I'd be curious and be grateful if you could comment below if it's even possible for a foreigner to plead the fifth. Who knows? Before I get off track though, let's veer back on course. A further reason to question just who Nadia is and how she got to Epstein is that despite having this immunity, she not only pled the fifth all those times in her deposition, but she also has yet to give a single name, a location, address, or even the tiniest bit of information, even 16 years after being given immunity, about what was going on, and who the perpetrators are, or who the girls are, how they got them, what went on, where the lists are, or where and how the bodies were disposed of. That's another level of evil, as she is probably one of only a handful of people outside of Epstein himself who knows each person on the list and could help us all out a lot in uncovering who was involved. But she didn't. Nadia remained loyal to Epstein, visiting him over 70 times, which is a minimum of once a week, while Epstein was supposedly serving a prison sentence, but was actually just hanging out.
There's just like actually bad people who don't care.
Back in 2008. And 70 times is more than Epstein's other top conspirators combined and multiplied visited him. Nadia was then with Epstein all the way until what was likely his staged death in the Manhattan Metro Correctional Facility, visiting him and calling him there and being among his final phone calls. After so many of his former friends had abandoned him and left him to his own devices in 2019, Nadia stuck by his side. That's the kind of loyalty one would expect to see from a band of soldiers lost in the jungles of Vietnam in the 1970s. Not what you'd expect for a girl who was brutally abused for a decade and had been given immunity from all crimes she was accused of. Even stranger, despite all this time by Epstein's side, supporting and continuing to facilitate him, Nadia managed to remain mostly out of the limelight. And like most people, myself included, as discussed, they likely didn't even know this chick's name until 2024, early January to be more precise, when a host of Epstein and co-related documents were released. Obviously, Nadia's name was in there innumerable times and implicated her in the sorts of crimes that an electric chair seems far too kind for. This is all to suggest that we really don't know who this woman was, and the record seems
this guy is being very red pill coded, and I want to just get off his I don't know. This guy is very red pill.
I'm willing to call her a victim because of
I hope money's easier to see like it used to be. It used to have a green glow to it, money. And you could really fucking see it, and then they stopped doing that for some reason. Money should have a really big green glow. You would never miss it in real life. Yeah, I like the way this ship looks. It looks like it could use some wings. I should give it some wings. What if I can just do that? Give it wings, and then so they can fly around better, maybe? Anyways, I came here to do some missions, so I guess I will get up. Bail drops Bob. Bill Clinton publishes full Epstein classics list.
Well, tonight, with the world now wondering about the 10 co-conspirators of Jeffrey Epstein referred to in some of the Epstein files released today, it is worth considering. What would an innocent person do? What would someone who is mentioned in the Epstein files do if he or she believed that he or she is totally innocent of any wrongdoing with Jeffrey Epstein? Former President Bill Clinton's office put out a statement saying, quote, "We call on President Trump to direct Attorney General Bondi to immediately release any remaining materials referring to, mentioning, or containing a photograph of Bill Clinton." And there it is. That is the model for how you handle this situation if you are in the Epstein files and you believe you did nothing wrong. Please feel free to now consider all of the prominent names you have heard this year associated with the Jeffrey Epstein, who have not demanded the immediate release of any materials referring to, mentioning, or containing a photograph of that person. Donald Trump has never demanded that. Donald Trump has done everything he could to prevent that from happening. Jeffrey Epstein's biggest business partner, Les Wexner, has
Come on, vehicle. Yes, finally.
About me that's in
hey, I got a cool car. Nice.
And he is not saying it now. After his name emerged today in a 2019 Justice Department email titled "Co-Conspirators." The email described attempts
I won
to
the podium
subpoena
vehicle,
a
look.
list of co-conspirators, which included
I won
Ghislaine
that.
Maxwell. A legal representative for Mr. Wexner told the New York Times that he was not a target
I own that car.
of the federal investigation or considered a co-conspirator. He provided federal prosecutors with background information on Mr. Epstein and was never contacted again, the representative said. So I guess that settles that. If a lawyer for Mr. Wexner of Ohio says he did nothing wrong, that must settle it. I would love to have that lawyer for Mr. Wexner of Ohio join us here on this program and tell us whether he responded to a grand jury subpoena and whether he testified to the grand jury. I'd love to have Mr. Wexner of Ohio come here and tell us all about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, which no one has ever been able to understand or explain. Mr. Wexner is so much richer than Jeffrey Epstein could ever have dreamed of being, and no one's ever figured out why Les Wexner would be in business with Jeffrey Epstein in any way. So what was that all about? And we patiently await Mr. Wexner's lawyer issuing a statement saying that they demand immediately the release of all information in the Epstein files about him and any photograph of him in the Epstein files. We patiently await that moment. There is no indication that Donald Trump was on the list of co-conspirators, but here's what Donald Trump said about Jeffrey Epstein's most important co-conspirator after she was convicted of sex trafficking with Jeffrey Epstein.
I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, and I guess they lived in Palm Beach. But I wish her well, whatever it is.
I wish her well.
Yes, he did see her numerous times over the years. New information from the Epstein files today revealed that Donald Trump flew on Jeffrey Epstein's plane in the 1990s more often than he has ever admitted. In fact, Donald Trump has told the lie that he never flew on that plane. At least 4 of the Trump flights on the Epstein plane included Ghislaine Maxwell among the passengers Donald Trump was flying with.
Oh.
Donald Trump wishes Ghislaine Maxwell well. Donald Trump did not issue a statement today demanding the immediate release of any remaining materials referring to, mentioning, or containing a photograph of Donald Trump. Another email about co-conspirators released today said, quote, "Of the 10 co-conspirators, 3 have been located in Florida and served grand jury subpoenas. 1 in Boston, 1 in New York City, and 1 in Connecticut were located and served. 4 of the 10 are outstanding with attempts having been made. One is a wealthy businessman in Ohio. The remaining 3 are currently out of pocket. The team is flying out tonight, tomorrow to various locations in Florida to interview approximately 25 victims. If you were a wealthy businessman in Ohio who knew Jeffrey Epstein and you think you did nothing wrong, wouldn't you release a statement today, just like Bill Clinton's, demanding the release of any materials referring to, mentioning, or containing a photograph of yourself? Les Wexner is a wealthy businessman in Ohio and has not released any statement like that. If you're one of the prominent people living in the Boston area who has been publicly associated with Jeffrey Epstein, wouldn't you release a statement today demanding the release of any materials referring to, mentioning, or containing a photograph of you if you thought you did nothing wrong? Bill Clinton is the only person mentioned in the Epstein files who issued a statement demanding the full release of any remaining materials referring to, mentioning, or containing a photograph of Bill Clinton. And so, investigative reporting will continue about the possible 10 co-conspirators. More released documents by the Trump Justice Department might eventually identify those co-conspirators. But if you are a co-conspirator of Jeffrey Epstein's, your life changed today. And now it is only a matter of time. If you are a co-conspirator of Jeffrey Epstein's, you should know tonight that the clock is ticking on your secret. If you are a co-conspirator of Jeffrey Epstein's, you should know tonight that you have a rendezvous with the truth coming your way. Thanks entirely to a law passed by Congress to release the Epstein files, a law that could only be passed, not because any billionaire wanted it, but could only be passed because the victims of Jeffrey Epstein, who are now the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein, brought the moral clarity to Washington that demanded the release of those files over Donald Trump's objection. Those files have been released and will continue to be released over the objection of Donald Trump.
People have been using this place to live in for decades, man. I've been here 20 years. And when I came here, there were already people down here 20 years.
Around 2008, I went looking for mole people, a name given to the homeless who live in the tunnels beneath New York City. My search led me to the Freedom Tunnel, an Amtrak train tunnel that runs under the West Side Highway in New York City. Decades earlier, when the train tracks were still abandoned, this tunnel was home to dozens of people and is largely responsible for the urban legends of mole people.
Well, there ain't too many people that live down here anymore. Yeah.
In the early 1990s, the tunnel became active again, and a massive eviction took place. A fortunate few were able to go undetected and continue living in the tunnel. I was lucky to meet one of these people and work out a time.
But how do they live? How do they live? Do they go out and get food each day and then come all the way back? Wouldn't somebody just take your spot?
But how do I find you when?
All right, my house is easy to find, actually. You go down the service road to the end of the gate, the last gate that you come to.
Service road
now
right
they
here?
got it locked.
All right.
My house is right above that.
All right. Is there a ladder there or something, or?
You call me.
What's your name?
My name's Walter.
Walter? I'm Eric. Good to meet you, man.
Eric.
Cool. I'll come by next Saturday then.
All right.
The following weekend, I eagerly followed Walter's directions to his house. I was excited for the opportunity to speak with him and learn about his life in the tunnel.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Wow. Ladder. Yeah. Smart man. Ain't nobody coming up the ladder, yeah. So you can sleep really well. You're like, nah, I'll hear the ladder go up on the wall if somebody's coming. At that point, I drop something on their head. Yeah, height is a good,
Once I climbed up the ladder, I was astonished to see the home Walter
Hey, just get yourself a bowling ball up there. Anybody trying to come up, you just kind of, you wait, you kind of aim it pretty carefully. You're like, I'm going to drop the ball if you don't get off the ladder. You know, all right, here it comes, you know.
had built for himself.
Thanks a lot for letting me
Well, hi,
come on
kitty.
up
You
here.
come to see me?
For a minute.
He had
How you doing, kitty?
Here they found...
Oh no, you skipped me ahead, you piece of shit.
under the
Why?
West Side Highway to speak with him and learn about his life in the tunnel.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey. I did this for a year in the basement of an apartment complex. I lived in a tiny room the size of a closet, and I would have to bend my body around to lie down in there. And I would sit most of the day cross-legged and stuff, and I would play Xbox on a television that was suspended up. Not suspended, but like up higher. And then I would like put down this foldable chair, and I would sit on the chair during the day, and I would be very quiet. And it got very dangerous down there sometimes because I would cough. You would get like a flu or a cold in the winter, and you would cough down there, and they knew somebody was down there, and it was very dangerous in a way because I could have got a bad trespassing charge, But the people who lived there kind of knew it was me, and they were kind of like sheltering me, but they also didn't know who I was, or they knew who I was, but they didn't know I was down there. And if anybody came and they asked me, I'd just be like, well, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm homeless, I'm living in the basement, you know?
All right.
Once I climbed up the ladder, I was astonished to see the home Walter had built for himself.
Thanks a lot for letting me come on up here. Talk to you for a minute.
He had stuff packed everywhere, but also had all the comforts of home.
That's my toilet over there. Don't even open it.
Yeah, don't even open it yet.
I have the house divided in sections. What you're looking at...
Smart man. Yeah, that's what I would do too.
Yeah, right now is basically my...
It seems gross, but I mean, all it really is a bucket with a bucket with a bag, you know, and so having something to put above it is really nice. You can just sit down on top of it and you don't fall through or whatever. Buckets suck. It sucks to ride a bucket rim. It's actually really uncomfortable. So yeah, if you had something like that, that's the worst part about it. Squatting on the bucket for like 10 minutes sucks. That's the worst part about it, I would say, is the toilet. Toilet's always the worst part about it. But I mean, other than that, like, you know, it's not that bad. You don't pay bills. You don't really talk to people. You don't really have anybody hassling you. Time moves differently. You don't really notice the passage of time that much, except for when the day started, you know? Hi, kitty. You're like sitting on my chest and blocking my vision, and it's annoying to me.
Bathroom. To your left is my kitchen. This over here is the living room, and upstairs is the bedroom. Don't forget to take pictures of my buddies.
He's got a computer in there. How do you have power? Where did you get power from?
More stuff you picked up from the...
Power's like a fucking miracle. If you have power in a place like this, shit, you're set till they probably don't shut down the city power down there, do they?
Trash.
How do you get power? My first question is like, power. How do you have power down here?
Walk down here.
If you have power, fuck it, you beat the landlords.
You know.
Well, I mean, running water is different too, but I mean, yeah, like you don't get showers, which sucks. So yeah, I would like go up to the city each day and go take a shower at the fucking YMCA. I would have that be my morning, but other than that, you go back down there at like 1 p.m. or whatever, and you're fucking totally fine for the rest of the day until you go take another shower in the morning at like 10.
I'm from a zoo or anything.
You get power in there. Power's the real win. Then you beaten the landlords, and you could just pretty much live down there. And you can further your mind. You can always get some game that you wanted to beat, you know, finally done. You can always read like a whole set of books. Like if you always wanted to read some author's entire works or whatever, it's actually pretty good like that. It's like, okay, I'm gonna set myself to do something to pass the time, and I don't have to, I'm not. That's how I feel here. So my mother doesn't know, but like for about 7 years there, the only other person that I ever reported to was, there was two. There was one of my best friends who I was living in and out of his house, like kind of on the couch. And so, if he asked me something, I would tell him, because it was kind of like having like a good friend who was a boss, because he'd just let me live at his house willingly, and I'd be like, do you mind if I just crash at your place on and off and just let it be a thing? And he's like, no. And so, you know, I would report to him in a way where, like, if he needed help, I would just help him. If he needed support, I would support him. If he was bummed out, I would talk to him. You know, he was just a good friend. He really helped me. So, you know, whatever he needed. And then there was Cloud Candy, of course, but I didn't see her as much unless we were living with each other for about a year. And so, and then another girlfriend I had, but other than that, oh, and then my business partner, and then like, and then there's all my best friends and stuff. I mean, there was a lot of people, but like, you know, but there was a period there where I didn't even see a lot of them. There was for about 4 years where I was living in a burnt out restaurant, and I was living at, off of the pizza that I was scrounged from the dumpster next door from Sexy Pizza, and they were a really good pizza place that like really did get slammed pretty much every day of the year. They still are slammed every day of the year. They're like one of the more popular pizza places in Denver. And they have killer location, and their pizza really is good. It's super thin and it's super good. And so I would just go to the dumpster each night, and after a while, those guys knew I was living there. They would just leave their fucking pizza out there on the top of the dumpster. They wouldn't even dump it in the dumpster. They would just leave it on the top of the corners of the dumpsters. Because I made so many friends in the neighborhood, they would just leave the pizza for me because they knew I was living off of it. But living off pizza forever, living off donuts and pizza and shit from dumpsters and 7-Eleven food and stuff did give me celiac disease, which is like an gluten tolerant. It's a gluten intolerance. So living like this has its costs. The biggest one being you can't get vegetables, you can't really get orange juice. You can, but you better have money, some kind of food stamps or something. Food stamps usually means an address. Address usually means a life. Life usually means you're not homeless. There's all these things that have to do. It's like catch-22s. So yeah, if you're young, you can probably do this for a couple of years, right? Because the scurvy and the fucking scabies and the fucking problems and all that, you're way less likely to fall victim to stuff like that if you're like 22. If you're like 40, you better count on that stuff. You're gonna have robbery. Nobody cares because they think you're like, if you're a kid, they kind of understand it. Like there's somebody trying to find their way in the world. If you're older, like me, if you're like 37 and you're still living in a burnt out restaurant, they're liable to come in there, and they did a couple of times, and just take your shit. Or they're liable to call the cops on you. They don't like you. They don't like seeing like grown old men with drug problems just hanging around someplace. That really scares people. So they just sort of, just respond to it. Now, if you can get power, your goal, but remember that's still not water, and water isn't to shower every day. Just because you have water that you cart down there doesn't mean a shower every day, and that's a problem too. But there's really simple solutions to that too. Like if you can get like a simple Arrowhead, you know those 2-gallon Arrowhead things that you carry from the grocery store that are like really big water things? If you could get one of those down there every couple of days, which would be hard, honestly, in a squat like this, it would be hard. It's hard work to do that. I guess you would carry it on your back and you would bike down there or something. That's not that easy to move around like five gallons of water. It's actually pretty heavy. You know, you need like a cart or something. So, and then you got to climb that ladder with the 5 gallons of water every day of your life, the whole time you're there. And that shit sucks. That sort of repetitive work sucks. Like after a while, I got so unhappy. I thought I was going to commit suicide again. And within a couple of years, after hitting the streets after the first suicide attempt, because I was like, it sucks waking up well, not waking up, but like getting out of the squat in the fucking tiny little apartment thing that was like the size of a closet. It was just a storage closet. And I lived in the storage closet, but it was a locked storage closet, so no one was able to come in. And I had this ingenious way of locking it as I left, and it just looked perfectly locked, but no one would ever test it. And if they did, I was there. And when I got in there, I would actually lock the door, so it just seemed like it was locked. But when I was gone, it just looked locked. And it was a perfect indirection that did work for me for about a year. It was like 13 months, something like that. One of the nicest things anybody's ever done for me is my best friend got me out of that situation. But I did experiment with like deep, introverted, leaving society thing when I was like 24, because I was like fresh from a suicide attempt and my family had left town and I had no place to go. Totally broke, totally homeless, totally a drug addict, totally like smoking cigarettes every day for, $7 a pack. And that was my main focus, was getting a pack of cigarettes every day. It was the only thing I really wanted in life, was a pack of cigarettes every single day. And to play thank you, Kitty. You really fucked me here. Thank you,
brief
Kitty.
tour.
Please, Kitty, don't do that again. And so, Kitty, get off my fucking keyboard. So what was I saying? So yeah, and like after a while, I began to understand that getting up every morning at 4:15 to go dump the toilet sucks so bad, and I would time the way that the heat system would work in the place, because at 4 in the morning, if somebody hears a sound, they immediately come and look, you know. So if you have to escape the place, which means going out the door to go dump some bag of poop in the dumpster, and let's hope nobody notices that. If somebody sees that you're dumping poop in the dumpster every night, the jig is up. Your cover is blown. So, but I did that for years. I dumped a poop bucket in the dumpster every single night. It was disgusting, but it's just what I did to survive. It was disgusting. I mean, I didn't like it, but I sealed the bag in a way where it wouldn't dump. So I would just drop it into the dumpster really softly and pray that they wouldn't bust the bag or whatever, and turn the dumpster into something worse than it already was. If they didn't, you just leave your bag in the dumpster. But it did suck. And then getting back in, you have to shut the door and perhaps lock it. I had a key to the back door, so I could always get in there. But I was terrified of them changing the lock. I was terrified of them, noticing me. If you have drunk roommates like I did who were young, maybe they come home right then when you're walking in, and they come down the back alley, trying to park and stuff, and they see you going in the back door. That almost happened a couple of times. Or you're going down and you're just loud. Maybe you're drunk that night or something. You come home and you weren't even planning to come home, but then the situation changed where you just come home extremely drunk and you have to go do the entry really, really, really loud. You do it loud because you're not really in a, you're not in a right way where you can do it quietly. You just pray nobody notices, and after a while that really did kind of grind down on me, this reality of just this reality of every morning I had to get out of the apartment at 4:15 in the morning, dump the toilet, go and get my daily food, and be back in the fucking apartment complex in that basement, little tiny fucking, little storage closet before 5:15 in the morning, and probably the best of the roommates gets up, and then and they're getting ready to go to work and stuff. You really don't want them to hear you, but then you're done. You're done until 4:15 in the morning again if you want, or you can go out at 10:15 in the morning. Everybody goes to work except for the people who are home all day, and they probably don't hear you creeping up the stairs to leave, because they're busy, or you hear the shower come on. You're like, that's my chance. You can hear them. You're living in there like a Parasite, like that movie Parasite. But you don't come in their house ever, you don't ever fuck with them. But I did do that to my best friends lived upstairs, but I lived downstairs for 13 months. Finally, my best friend, I told him, I was like, the real problem is sneaking past all of my best friends every single day just so I can dump the poop bucket in the thing. He was like, that stresses you out? I'm like, yeah, it sucks so bad. It's like playing Metal Gear Solid with your life every single fucking day. Every day I have to play Metal Gear Solid. I have to time the heater to crawl up the stairs when the heater is blasting when it first turns on, and I have to wait for it like a fucking timer. I have to count how many people are home and how many are walking around right now. I have to see how heavy they are and who's there. Is it a girl? The girl probably can sense that something's not right. It's crazy. It's like a girl will know if you're there in the walls. It's kind of crazy. It's like people that are super perceptive, they will literally grok with their psychic power that you are there in the apartment complex somewhere, somehow. It's insane. My friend Keith's girlfriend, I forget her name now, but she was a friend of mine. I'd known her for years and years. She was a good friend of mine, but I was so embarrassed when they found me that I just acted too drunk to even know that they were there. I acted like a drunk, acted like a complete drunk, and that I was just passed out down there. They're like, oh, it smells like shit, and it smells like alcohol. Is he drunk? And I was like, oh God, I'm not, but they assume I'm just too wasted to talk to them. Maybe they'll leave me alone. I've got to move away from this place now. And I did disappear for 3 weeks. I just left for 3 weeks, and I lived on somebody else's couch because I was like, nah, they'll be looking for me for a while there, and then eventually it'll just cool down. I'll be able to come back, and they'll forget it even happened, which is what happened. But my friend Keith's girlfriend, she just knew that somebody was in the basement. It had nothing to do with sound. She told me later it was like nothing to do with sound. I could just pick up that a human was down there. Something about it, the waves, like through the fucking walls. I was like, did you pick up somebody was down there? And she was like, yes. I had this weird feeling. There was no noise or anything. I just had this weird psychic feeling that somebody else was in the apartment complex with us. She was like, that was you the entire time? And I was like, yeah, that was me. She was like, well, I picked up on you, but I never did ever smell, see, or hear you. And I was like, yep. She was like, we smelled you when I came in. I was like, yeah, that room stank so bad. It was like a fucking closet. You know, it was the size of a closet. So if you put a dude in there who only gets a shower maybe twice a week or something like that, because you're creeping out at 4:15 in the morning, and if you do, you're out till 11 o'clock till everybody's gone, and you're creeping in like under the threat of essentially trespassing and or like maybe burglary. And like, or whatever they say you're doing. They can, one of the things about trespassing is and it happened to me, is what they can say whatever they want, and the cops are going to believe them. So if they say you're stealing something, it doesn't matter if you are or not, you're probably stealing something, and that's scary because that's a burglary charge. I got lectured by a judge by it one time real bad. He was like, I'm working under the assumption that you stole stuff. I was like, no sir, I walked out of that place with nothing but an empty backpack. I came there for information. And he was like, really, I'm supposed to believe that you broke in someplace because you want to find your cat? And I was like, yeah, why would I come up with a story like that? I was after information. And honestly, after this whole court trial's done, I'm going to go pay the fucking window that I broke, you know? I'm going to go pay this guy for the damages I did to him. He citizen arrested me. It's the most mortified I've ever been. I don't want to apologize to him. I'm just going to leave him a check. And he was like, that's what you should do. When he heard that, he was nicer to me, but it was like, they thought I was there to steal. And yeah, had my cat been there, I would have committed burglary and stole the cat. Yeah. That's something I told the judge. I was like, yep, if my cat was there, I would have just stole my cat. Yep. He was like, so you were there to steal? And I was like, nope. I was there to get my cat back that I traded for 3 months of rent right as my unemployment ended, and I was starving on the middle of the fucking, in the middle of the fucking winter in 2015 and shit. And my car broke down. I had no job. I was a delivery driver and stuff. And I was like, nope, I traded my cat to an old friend, an old roommate. And it always felt like he kind of fleeced me for like a $5,000 Scottish fold for about, I don't know, $750 worth of rent. So I went back for my cat. I was like, I'm sorry, I went back for my cat. It was like rather than commit suicide or try to commit suicide a second time, I just went on the wacky adventure of trying to find my cat again that I had traded away when I was desperate. And it led me to a very dark place and brought me to, 2 years in a mental health, place, and it's just crazy. And now, like, I look back and I'm like, if I just stayed in the fucking cell, I called it the cell because it was the size of a jail cell. It was like the size of a one-man jail cell. It was that small. It was so fucking small. And like, I lived in there for so long. And this guy, he does the same thing, but he's just down a tunnel where way less likely that people are likely to fuck with you. And he does this because he has autonomy. I marveled at it when I had it. I never felt so free after I've never felt as free as that ever since then. I did when I was living in the burnt out restaurant because I was totally free. I had no landlord, I had no lord, I had no country pretty much. I was actually hiding from the police of my country. I didn't really have a country really. I have a country, I have citizenship. But I mean, like the police in the area were like would have just ousted me. What is that terrible, terrible sound? Shut the fuck up, shut up. So and I felt the actual autonomy. It's like you don't have to pay rent. You might be on food stamps, or you can dumpster dive for your dinner, so you don't have to go get money to buy food. You don't have to go get clothes. You can probably get by from the thrift store. You can take your time and brew some tea because you have the place to yourself 24 hours a day. You can probably bring a monitor or a TV in there like I did and he did, and you can maybe like get reacquainted with yourself, who you are, what video games you find fun, what you do in your free time that doesn't matter what other people think because you're not beholden to anybody else's opinions or what they're into. It's like, okay, you're in this squat by yourself for 24 hours a day. What do you spend your time? What game do you play? And it's kind of like the desert island question. Okay, you're stranded on a desert island. What are the 5 things that you bring? And it's this stuff. I bring my computer. I bring a bed. I bring probably like some kind of light. Probably like a notebook and a mirror. right? And the mirror is to flag down helicopters to get out of the situation. It's not for because I have any vanity. I really don't. So, and like, and the mirror will get you out of the problem. All the rest of it is to wait until somebody comes, and like, what can you do with a computer on a desert island? But we're not talking about a desert island. We're talking about a squat. And that's how squats are. They're kind of like going to this. It's kind of like getting stranded on a desert island. What do you bring? You might not be able to get out of there again for a long time. It is like that. It is refreshing to live in this situation. Now I'm seeing signs of a very old druggie. This is a very old druggie. The hydrogen peroxide, the alcohol rub, the cotton swabs, the various jars and stuff, the way his beard is, the way his eyes are, the joint in his hands and stuff. But this is a very old druggie, and you'll find these more often than anybody else in places like this, like in squats and stuff. You will find druggies because often it's people that have been targeted by the government for their drug use. That's usually what squatters actually are. Punkers and druggies and hippies and stuff that have been targeted for their heroin or meth or pot or alcohol use or whatever it is. Or they caught a DUI or something. Now they're disgraced and they can't do their job anymore or something like that. And you'll find people like this in squats quite a lot. Because it's like you can tell they want the freedom of smoking tobacco, smoking weed, doing drugs, shooting up, whatever it is, without anybody judging them, without anybody putting them in jail. I wouldn't really call these people members of society anymore. They're definitely mole people because they only come up when they have to. And like, I get it and I enjoy this lifestyle and I can relate to it with him. But in my experience, the more you try to do this, the more life tries to haul you back again. The more you try to disassociate and disappear in some tunnel like this, the more life will try to draw you back, more phone calls you'll get, and the more family pressuring you and friends showing up and people being like, something's wrong, what's going on and stuff. The more you try to disconnect, the more the harder it is to disconnect because they start showing up and being like, what's wrong? Why are you not like attending any like parties anymore? Why aren't you going to work anymore? Why aren't you paying taxes anymore? Why don't you pay a landlord anymore? Are you homeless now? Are you living in a squat? Do you have a drug addiction? If the answer is yes to all of it, then you probably left society, which is insane. This is a really terrifying thing for friends and family. It terrified my mother. She was like, what's to stop somebody from killing you down there? And I was like, me. Me, I'm that person, and I don't make mistakes. I sleep with one eye open. I often do meth when I'm on the streets because it's like, you might as well be awake for most of it because, sleep is the cousin of death.
I wanted to know more about.
I'm never sleeping because sleep is the cousin of death, and it is. I'm never sleeping because sleep is the cousin of death. That's like an underground drug gang dealer like drug addict thing is like never sleeping because then you can't get God if you never sleep. So I mean, yeah. And so I see in his voice I hear meth and heroin. In his squat, I see signs of meth and heroin from the different drugs and antiseptics lying around and stuff, and the style of how he does things. And it's like, yeah, it's, and honestly, to me, it speaks of home. This speaks more, the lower class and dudes like this and homes like this and squats like this and stuff speaks more to me of home than this place that I currently live in right now. And I miss that autonomy. Another thing that happens when you've left society is this whole concept. I call it kick rocks. I didn't know what kick rocks meant when I first became homeless, but it's this thing, at least that the Denver grunge punk scene, the DGP and scenes and stuff, the grunge punkers and stuff. They tell you to kick rocks, which means get out of their hab or get out of their squat or whatever, because you don't really belong there. And then there's no laws, so they can do whatever they want to you. And that's a thing that I had to learn like very intimately and stuff. And I learned it myself, is this whole kick rocks idea of this is my home. Sure, I don't pay for it, but I laid this claim. I laid this claim and this stake, and it's mine. And you can't be here. This is my personal space. This is my safe bubble and stuff. And if you don't have the personal power to tell somebody to kick rocks, you should never, ever, ever be homeless. And by kick rocks, I mean like that's the phrase that people use. where I come from, they're like, kick rocks, motherfucker, get out of here. This is what it means. It means get out of here. And if you can say it with real stability and meaning and like you mean it when you say it to somebody, you can take that squat and you can live there. If you can't say that to somebody will take the squat from you, and they'll be like, kick rocks, motherfucker, and they mean it more than you. So and I learned kick rocks is kind of like the whole concept of like, if you have the power to bounce somebody from a squat, you can be a squatter. If you don't have the power to keep that squat from somebody or tell somebody no if they tell you kick rocks or whatever, you shouldn't ever be in the scene in the first place, and they have to give you street credit before they'll ever listen to you, which means you got to be connected, or at least they need to see you, or you know some names, or you've done some things, or you're with somebody or something, or you're dating somebody, whatever it is. And so I learned kick rocks the hard way, which was coming into the fucking underground like homeless scene in Denver, having never ever been there before. I didn't know what they meant when they said kick rocks. I thought they meant like, you know, I really didn't know what they meant. With the way they say it, it's like kick rocks now. And you're like, oh, you mean like leave? And they're like, yeah, motherfucker, because you're asking leave, you need to leave. Yeah, and then like in that thing, they're like, if you don't speak the language, just get the fuck out of here. And if you don't speak their weird hobo language, you don't do so well. So after a while, you understand the weirdest language on the streets, like up, down, clear, black, white, lady, you know, there's so many different names for dope and stuff, and what it means and how to get it, what it sounds like when you're hearing that word, what a tweaker means as opposed to a crackhead, as opposed to a drunk, as opposed to a junkie, what hanging around each different personality means and what it's going to bring to you. Like, for instance, junkies almost always have money, which is something that you wouldn't really think because they got the monkey on their fucking back. But no, I've never known people to have more money than junkies. It's kind of weird. You would think corpos and stuff. And yeah, corpos have money if they sit and do their cubicle job all the time. You want to know who has real money? Fucking junkies. They have like a $300 a day habit, and most of them do it. And how they do it is beyond me. And we do the math on that. That's like $2,000 a week, about $8,000 a fucking month, or something like 80. Yeah, I would say a real and honest, like true, like in the true real sense of the term, a real honest like heroin habit is like about $120,000 a year. It's $330 a day. Times 7 is $2,100. You know, a fucking, like, you know, times 7 is $2,100 a week. You can't miss it or you're going to get sick. So it's like $2,100 a week, $8,400 a fucking month. What's 8.4 times 12? It's 96. It's like, yeah, it's like 96 grand. Then you have to add in all the transportation, all the cigarettes, all the food, all the money, all the water, and all that stuff. And it adds out to about $120,000 a year. That's what a real and sincere junk habit actually is. I did it for 2 years, and I did dig up something like $200,000 and $300 a day for a long time as a taxi driver. And was I ever that motivated as a sober person? No, because if you don't get dope, you get sick. And being sick is the worst feeling in the fucking world. It pretty much is. So, like, you know, so you do whatever you have to. But, like, you know, and I'm not proud of the things I did, but I'll do whatever. I don't care. And, like, you know, a real sincere dope habit will boil your life down to something real quick, and it'll show you what you're about and how you do things and all this other stuff. So one of the things I like about people like who do squats like this is they take time to do things people on dope don't. They don't have time. Time is money to them. So people on dope don't have time. But I've noticed that there is a whole nother homeless faction of people like this who might like weed or something like that, but they're not strung out. And I like them more. Not because I do get along with drug people pretty fucking well. I'd gravitate to drug people, you know? But I like the people that are there regardless because they're more salt of the earth and stuff. And I get along with those people better because they're there for autonomy. This guy's here for autonomy. He doesn't want to be told what to do with his body. He doesn't want to be told what to do with his mind. He doesn't want to be told to pay some rent like a Matrix battery. These are things that people like to struggle with, and so did I. If you're going to live a life on this planet Earth, you have to kind of sign this social contract with the rest of America and the rest of people out there, or wherever it is that you're from, that you agree to try. But I mean, they don't pay you to try. They don't pay you if you fail. Like, you know, they don't pay you to try, and they don't pay you if you fail. So a bunch of us were just like, why should we try?
About Walter's history.
is quite honest. You might think that it's incredibly dishonest to be like, well, why should I try? I throw up my hands and do nothing. But no, it's actually incredibly honest to be like, why should I try? They don't pay us to fail. You know, they'll not pay us to fail through college or fail through life or get fired from 60 jobs or be an alcoholic or a drug addict or something. They don't pay you to fail. So it's probably better to just find some life in some tunnel somewhere. That's how I felt for a long time. I still feel like that. One of the things that you know, has really, really empowered me as a human being is this understanding, because I've done it like 6 times in my life now, where it just doesn't even physically or emotionally, it scares me, but it doesn't emotionally affect me. This concept of walking out the front door with nothing but the clothes on my back, I've done that like 6 times now as a junkie, where I just like full blown walked out the front door with nothing but the clothes on my back, and I left my life entirely for no reason, just because I wasn't feeling it, wasn't feeling those people or that situation anymore or whatever. And after you do that enough, you begin to realize that is autonomy, being able to just be okay, I don't want this crew anymore, so I'm not talking to them. I don't want to be around these people anymore, so I'm not talking to them. I don't want to be around this girl anymore, so I'm not talking to her. I don't want to be around this person around. Complete autonomy. I posit that most of humanity never ever does get autonomy in any way or form. They're beholden to their families, they're beholden to their jobs, they're beholden to their spouses, their kids, their money, their lives. And I'm not saying it's a good thing to just say fuck off and do nothing like Mick Danger or whatever, but there is a great deal of autonomy on this that you gain from doing this, that does educate you about how to be a human being a lot better. And I gotta say, most human beings are just too pussy to try it. I gotta say, most people will just shake their heads at it and be like, be homeless on purpose? Absolutely not. But you'd be surprised what a vow of poverty will do for a man or a woman or anybody.
How'd you find out about this place?
You look and you look and you look, and you're desperate and you're desperate and you're desperate, and you're sleeping in different spots trying to figure out some place to go, and somebody whispers something in the back of some room or something, or you hear something in some bar, or you're out smoking cigarettes on the corner with the rest of the wastrels, and somebody mentions something about a tunnel or something. You're like, tunnel? And they're like, yeah, there's a tunnel down there. You want to see it? If you get me high, I'll show you. And then you get them high and they show you, and you're like, oh my God, I could live here. And they're like, yeah, you can live here, but the city rousts people. You got priors, and 9 out of 10 people are going to be like, yes, I am on probation right now. So the guy's showing you the squat. He's like, well, if you're on probation, you don't want to be down here because the cops roust this place at least once a month. You know, if you got anything prior, that's just a free ride to fuck me in the ass prison, you know, pound me in the ass prison. So it's like, yeah, so most people, unlike this guy, they'll be like, no, I can't do that. I can't subject myself to some kind of situation where I'm violating probation by trespassing, and then I put myself into a worse felony charge just because I'm trying to squat in some tunnel or something. That's what I did for many years. I was like, well, if I catch the probation charge, I ran from the cops a bunch of times when I was squatting because I knew it meant a probation charge violation, and that's not a joke. So this guy has been gone from public so long that probation charges aren't even a reality for him probably anymore. So he can stay down there permanently. What can they do? They can't threaten him with probation violation or something. The worst they can do is oust him that day, which is fine. He comes back 12 hours later. Who cares about that? Happened to me like 4 times. I think, yeah, cops came to my squad in the Burnt Out restaurant like 4 times. And then the 4th time, they were like, get used to the idea that this place is going to be gone soon. And I was like, okay.
Here over 20 years.
And it was.
Yeah, well,
it was. I'm going to eat some ice cream and then go to bed, but I'll try and stay with you guys until 2 a.m. It's like 1:48, and I don't want to be up any later than that, really. Or not late. Well, I won't be getting to bed till 4, but yeah. No, I'm going to stop this stream right here. I'm terribly sorry. I know I'm not going to be able to get it through this video. So I don't want to tease you by trying to stay up till 3 in the morning to finish this, because it'll inspire me to do a lot of content, because I did live a life like this. I've done a lot of crazy things with my life that I don't feel a lot of shame about. I felt it as like, you know, call me a writer. It's like, you know, being a writer. If you haven't done things like this, you might not be too good of a writer, you know? Anyways, so yeah, and I'm going to stop here with a reminder that you've been watching Skycatlive. I'm a full-time variety gamer. I'm going to eat some ice cream, and I'm going to post my videos that I published today. That I recorded today. I'm going to publish the videos that I recorded today on my YouTube, which is here, which is reflected here. It has many, many thousands of videos on it, 3.1 thousand videos. And, you know, come check me out. I'm getting good views and stuff. Hey, 6 days ago, I got 5 views. That's not bad for somebody who has no chat, you know, and no backing, no editors or anything like that. No professionalism. Doing pretty well. So I love you guys. Like, I would do this stream in my squat for you guys for the rest of my life if I had to. It's one of the things I would be willing to do. If I lost this home, I would. I would just go to the squat. I would trade all this for a laptop, and I would take the laptop and I would show you what it's like to live like this, which is something I don't want to do. I promised myself I wouldn't ever do that again, you know, and I mean it. I meant the promise to myself. I made several promises to myself. One was to never break the law ever again, not unless they changed them. And the other one was, don't ever end up in the system ever again. So I don't do things like squatting where you could go to the system. I just won't, you know. So with that note, I'm going to stop here, guys. I'm going to stop the recording and publish. I love you guys. Thank you so much. And this stream will end shortly when this delay ends. I'm going to go to the restroom and go to bed. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, guys. Merry Christmas. You have a good day. Happy holidays. I'll see you tomorrow. Probably back around like 1 or 2 p.m. in the afternoon. I love you guys. Merry Christmas to you and a Happy New Year. Y'all have a wonderful day. And there we go. And so I'm going to stop the stream and stop